All right, SRN fans, welcome back for our third race of the week. Our Cup Series is live tonight. I am Greg Olenek with my co-host, Brandon Domain. Brandon, how are you doing, buddy?
Did not have a great day on the actual NASCAR race that happened earlier, picking that one. Hopefully you pick a little bit better here on this one, but excited nonetheless, getting that Cup season started at the high banks of Daytona. Always a good time, and we do it under the lights. How you doing today?
Pretty good now that I can hear you. I was freaking out for a sec when you were muted, but I'm glad our producer Sean was able to get in your ear and let you know. But yeah, we kind of talked about our picks for today's New Hampshire race, and it didn't really go the way we wanted. But still a great race nonetheless, an exciting finish, a new winner, and that's kind of been the trend this week in SRN too. Two new winners to the series. Do you think we could be seeing the same thing tonight, Brandon?
It's always possible, especially at a track like Daytona, but the hard thing's going to be the amount of returning drivers we have here in the Cup Series field and the quality of those returning drivers. You're looking at about two-thirds of the field is coming back from last season, including all of our championship contenders. It's going to be tough for somebody to break through and get that first win, but we're already 2 for 2 this week. You never know. And it looks like we might have lost Greg, so we'll kind of pick up from there and see if we can get him back. But again, tonight we will have the Sparkle and Shine 200 at Daytona International Speedway. 80 laps around the 2.5-mile high bank super speedway, and just like on Thursday night, there will be no fast repairs in this race.
All right, I think I may be back. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me now.
We gotcha. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry. I'm dog sitting for a friend of mine, so I'm not in my current or my usual location where I'm plugged in directly to my computer's internet. So I'm on Wi-Fi tonight, so bear with me. Hopefully I got it fixed now that we are done with that top portion of the show. But yes, like Brandon said, we are here for the Sparkle and Shine 200 at Daytona. 80 laps, no fast repairs. I'm excited, Brandon. We got a great healthcare billing incorporated pre-race show for you guys, and I think that's what we're going to get into tonight. We're going to just go ahead and talk about some of the changes that we've had this year in the Cup Series. No fast repairs like we've usually had, and still we're paying out 5 cars tonight, Brandon.
Yep, 5 cars. No, that was something that was shaken up in both of our races this week. The top 5 going on to the final lap were definitely not the top 5 at the end of that final lap. We'll see if we can have a little bit of a straighter finish here tonight. But those top 5 get paid out not just this week, but we'll also have the top 5 paid out at the end of the season as well. Always nice here on the Speed Racing Network. And in the Cup Series, they're racing for some pretty big money.
Yeah, they are. And they're also racing for bragging rights as well to get that first W of the season. And we're going to see exactly who that's going to be within the next couple of hours. But let's go ahead and jump into our league details. We always like to show our audience what really goes on here at Speed Racing Network so they know what to expect. Like you mentioned earlier, it's a 20-week fixed setup league. No fast repairs here in the Cup Series. That's nothing new. And $15 a week is going to be their entry fee. And they are racing for weekly and season payouts with that $1,000 first place prize, Brandon.
Oh, yeah, that $1,000. That's what we had last season. We saw how intense the racing was, especially once we got to the playoffs, to win that $1,000 along with the bragging rights of being the champion. One thing that we are seeing a change with is on the team side of things. We do still have the 5-person teams being allowed this season to determine our team championship, but the format of how we're determining that champion has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to make the team championship standings shake up quite a bit towards the end of the season, but we are very far from that point in the season. But let's go ahead and talk about the race payouts next on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. And there you see it. First place is going to come away with a cool $45. Second going to win $30. And third through fifth all going to win their money back, $15 back in their pocket.
Yeah, and that's always nice, at least getting that money back and put it forward to next week's race in Kansas. If you haven't already just paid out the entire season, I know that's kind of my style, just so it's something you don't have to worry about the rest of the way. But, that $45, 3 times what you put in. if you win tonight, and not only do you get to be the Daytona champion here in SRN, but you get that money, and that's going to pay off really the rest of the month of racing for you here in SRN.
Yeah, and it's just going to make the rest of your regular season that much easier. Coming away with those 44 points, I believe it is. It's going to be somewhere around 40 to 44 points that they win, and that's only going to help them move on to the playoffs towards the end of the season. So they're not just racing for money here; they're racing for that chance to potentially run for that $1,000 at the end of the year. But let's go ahead and move on to the next portion of our pre-race show here. And we always like to bring this up to everybody in case you would like to try it at home, or if you're a driver within SRN wanting to give it a try and boost your skills a little bit. It's going to be Kane Cook's sim coaching, and I am one to always boast about this man. He definitely knows what he's talking about and just really how to relay the messages to you or any driver on what you need to improve. So you see it there. He's got 2 accounts, and both of them he has a professional license with a 7,000 plus rating. So pretty impressive, Brandon.
Yeah, that's an absolutely insane rating, and you think about it, average I rating on the service is probably around 15 to 1800. In our league, it's around 2000 to 2500. But to look at that number being around 7,500 to be racing in a league for $300,000 in the Coke Series just tells you the quality of driver that he is. Also a high quality coach. I got to work with him about 3 weeks ago. Since then, my rating has gone up from 2,200 to over 2,400. I'm not somebody that gets on here every single night running races multiple times a night, so just that increase has been solid, and he's helped me out with quite a bit in transitioning to these Xfinity cars that we ran on Thursday.
Yeah, oh, excuse me. I have some dogs barking in the background, so pardon that. But I might have to talk to Kane Cook here in the next week or two and ask him to maybe stop giving you so many lessons out there. I'm kind of worried about you on the racetrack this season. I ran into a little bit of trouble on Thursday. You had a really good race going for you. Not exactly sure where you finished, but I saw you up there towards the front. So it seems to be paying off so far, bud.
It was almost a good finish until that last lap pile up, but yeah, moved up to about 4th place, but sadly finished 28th after that big one on the last lap, but definitely a good start to the season despite that result.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring up a new segment this season on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. We have the Beer of the Week brought to you by Beer Street Journal, and Sean Griffith is going to take it away for us here.
This week's Beer Street Journal Beer of the Week is brought to you by Mother Earth Brew Company out of California. It's a beautiful can that was designed by Michael Carini, who is an abstract artist, and he calls it Cognitive Aerobics. And so the beer itself is a 50-50 mix of hops from New Zealand and also from the Pacific Northwest. And the brewing process brings out the fruitier and juicier qualities of that blend. And so you'll kind of get some citrus flavors going on with this beer. So your palate will definitely get a workout, which is why they call it Cognitive Aerobics. You'll taste both kind of old school and new school hops in every single sip. So that beer is available just for a limited time in 16-ounce cans and draft, mostly in California. But if you want to know more about that beer or any other beers, go to beerstreetjournal.com and find your next great beer.
And that was an awesome segment. We're so excited to have them on board here with Beer Street Journal, bringing us the Beer of the Week each week. This week, you saw it there, Cognitive Aerobics, an awesome can, a nice little IPA brought to us by Mother Earth Brew Company. And Brandon, I know you're a big beer fan, so I know you're going to enjoy this just as much as I am.
Yeah, definitely going to be visiting the site quite a bit and learning about some of the new beers that are out there. Definitely enjoy the can designs that I've noticed from some of the smaller breweries out there. This is one of the better designs. I actually really like that one. So pretty cool design. Sure, it's a great beer. And yeah, thanks to Beer Street Journal for the new segment and being part of the show.
Well, moving on in this Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show, next up is going to be our team introductions. And first is going to be our team champions from last season, Roel Smith Racing, and a lot of familiar faces on this team that are returning from last season, maybe one or two new ones. But the biggest one on there he is the team owner himself up there in the number 9 machine, Jake Rowell, followed by his good buddy, the 25 car of Dean Brummett, a new guy on board last season, but not new to SRN, the 42 of James Holzer, and then last season's champion, Scott Healy there in the 64 machine, followed by the 88 of Nick Owen.
Yeah, and I mean, this team is absolutely loaded top to bottom, and you look at that lineup, they have 3 of the championship 5 from last season with Roel Holzer, and then the champion of Scott Healy, Dean Brummett, playoff driver in his own right. Nick Gowen, I think, is really the sneaky one on this team, making his Cup Series debut for a full season, but he was outstanding when it came to the playoff races in the Xfinity Series last year. Didn't run enough of the races to get into the playoff, but he won 2 of those races, one at a road course at COTA, one at Charlotte. That's a guy to keep an eye on this season to possibly break out.
Yeah, Gowen ended the season very strong in the Xfinity Series. It's going to be hard to pick any of these guys, which one of them is going to win from RSR any given week. So it's going to be exciting to get them back out there, see if they can repeat that team championship as well as an individual season champion. But let's go ahead and move on next to Rev'd Racing, the original Rev'd Racing. Like we mentioned on Thursday, we have 2 different satellite teams for Rev'd Racing. This is going to be the first one up here, headed by that 3 car of Byron McDonald, and a few newcomers here, the 23 of Scott Kalal, the number 27 of Gabriel Ellison, the 36 of Kyle Spees, and the 99 of Chris Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 very familiar faces with McDonald, Kalal, Ellison, and Spees. Chris Lawrence, we're still kind of figuring out what he will bring to the table, as we had that one preseason race last week, and we'll see how he does this week. The guy to obviously keep an eye on out of this group, Gabriel Ellison, the cleanest driver from last season, and that got him a spot in the Championship 5. He was unable to participate in that race. If he did, I'm sure it would have been a very different story and how things would have played out. But just this whole team, very clean, very fast. They will make a good threat to RSR's title-favored position.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of potential on this team. And just to harp on one thing before we move on, Byron McDonald is so excited to move up to the Cup Series that he has made a different paint scheme each week. That is how excited this man is. So he has been waiting a long time to move up from the Truck Series, and here he is coming into his first race. So I expect to see him have a really good race, really clean race out there at Daytona. But let's go ahead and move on to that second team that I mentioned from Rev'd Racing. That's going to be a little bit of a different look. It's Rev'd Reloaded, and that is going to be headed by a whole another list of 4 drivers here. The 8 machine of Michael Politis, the 20 of Casey Feaster, the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery, and 73 of Dalton Tucker.
Yeah, and this is going to be a group of a lot of newcomers to the table. Did race against Casey in one of the races last year in the Truck Series. Wasn't really around him too much to know about his style or anything like that. But this is a team that I think is going to be a great asset to the Rev'd stable of 2 teams. They're also going to have the benefit of getting a lot of veteran advice from drivers in this series, and obviously they're not new to the iRacing service overall, but to have that advice that they can go to with their teammates over on the other side of the Rev table, only going to help make them even more complete drivers. So this team could be something to watch as the season goes on, especially.
Yeah, just to mention Dalton Tucker, he is a very strong racer, and I think he is one that these guys can really learn a lot from, but to each of their own right, they all have the potential to get it done, which is why we wanted them on Rev'd Racing. So very excited to have them on board Rev'd Reloaded this year. But let's go ahead and move on to our next team. That's going to be one that we remember from last season, R&D Motorsports, and their captain, David Duke, is going to be heading the list of drivers you are about to see in that 78 machine, followed by a few new drivers as well. So he's going to have Timothy Latham on board from Filthy 5 last year, Brian Mabry in the 15 machine, as well as Jordan Sailors, another familiar name that we are used to seeing here within SRN.
Yeah, and Brian Mabry added incredibly recently. In fact, that was about today. He got added to the team. So interesting to see how that plays out for R&D. But you have three strong drivers alongside him. Most notably, I believe, would be Timothy Latham, and that's a great looking paint scheme that he has as well. But just that ability that he has, where he's got that home run ability to go out there any week and possibly park it in victory lane. That's going to be a threat for R&D that they'll have this season out of him. But really, this is just a pretty solid team top to bottom.
Yeah, you mentioned Mabry being a new name. Nothing to take away from him, as we've seen two new winners already this year in our first two races in the Truck and Xfinity Series. So maybe he's the one we're talking about at the end of today. But a great team that David Duke is putting together right here. Still room for one more driver, but they are not behind the eight ball when it comes to the team championship, as they only score the top three drivers. So let's go ahead and move on to Tank Racing next. And we want to go ahead and give a shout out to Joshua Balliet. It's his birthday today, so he's going to be having a little bit of an extra chip on his shoulder, something he's racing for out there today. He wants a little early birthday present. So also another driver you see there at the bottom, the 81 of Max Service. He's not going to be with us today. He has appendicitis and had appendix surgery today, so we want to go ahead and give him a big shout out. We're thinking about him and hoping he gets a speedy recovery. But the other three drivers on the team, the 17 of Reese Schaefer, 57 of Emerson Ardon, and 77 of Seth Berger.
Yeah, and that's a whole range of emotion there. So happy birthday, Joshua Balliet. Max, hope you have a very speedy recovery from that appendix surgery. And for the rest of the team that is here, you're down to those four drivers that are going to be making up those three spots that'll count for the points for the team. So it's only week one, still a long way to go in this season, but that's just one little extra bit that they're going to have to put forward tonight, that knowing that they're going to have four that are going to be running for those 3-point spots.
Yeah, Balliet had a great finish the last season, as well as Seth Berger, and I know they're going to be wanting to put on a good show for their buddy Max Service back in the hospital room. I don't know if he's out of the hospital or what yet, but we're thinking about you, buddy. Get well. But let's go ahead and move on to our next team here in the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. It's going to be Stryker Motorsports, and just like the theme has been tonight, a few new drivers on board here this season, so let's go ahead and take a look. Mike Lewis moving up to the Cup Series in that 05 machine. Bo Brady in the 19, the 33 of James Guy, the 37 of Raul Meza, and the 96 of Joe Ruggles Jr. So a few familiar faces, but none that were in the Cup Series last year.
Yeah, this is an entirely new team to the Cup Series this season. Obviously ran with Joe and Mike in the trucks last year as part of Stryker. Definitely know what they're capable of. Have heard a lot of great things through the practices and just team chatter about Bo, James, and Raul. So hopefully they can step up and live up to that reputation, and hopefully a pretty solid performing week for my team over there at Stryker on the first two nights of racing carries over to tonight.
We'll find out shortly. All right, coming up next on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show is going to be a new team to the SRN series, and that's going to be Murray Reedy Motorsports, and their team captain of Austin Reedy from last season is going to be heading the ship here. He had a great season in that one machine, and then he's got a few new guys on board this year with the 10-car Kyle Benson, the 13 of Craig Lautenslager. I'm sorry, I know I already butchered that. I'll have to get up with you in a little bit. And the 50 of John Honeycutt as well.
You know what? I think you got that last name right, actually. But, most notably, the name that you're going to look at is Austin Reedy, somebody that we saw a lot last season and had some pretty solid success. Did notice Kyle Benson had a solid running as well last week, so that might be a name to look for those breakout drivers this season.
We will see what this new team can do. Another new team coming up here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show is going to be Ramsey Cole Racing. We love seeing all these new teams on board, and there you have it. Their two drivers, they're still growing, are going to be Andrew Lewis in the 12 machine and the 41 of Ty Cole, Brandon.
Yeah, and they're only going to have one driver tonight, it appears, as Ty Cole missing tonight, actually out with COVID. So hopefully he has a very speedy recovery as well, and we hope to see him back at the track soon.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Get well soon, Ty. We hope to see you out there and what you can do with this new team. Always exciting. So let's go ahead and talk about our independent drivers that we have out there tonight. And it's going to be a few of them. Tommy Gossett, I'm pretty sure he might be on Rev Racing, but I'm not too sure now that I see him on this list. I'll have to get up with him after this. The 48 of Kyle Johnson, the 69 of Vincent Cortez moving up from the Xfinity Series, as well as the 98 of Nathan Nixon up here, and the 24 of Ryan Ducombe, and the 6 of Jovi Ray. All 4 are going to be Xfinity drivers moving up to the Cup Series tonight, Brandon. Why didn't we get the invite?
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to wonder. But no, those 4, a lot of great experience in cars that are actually a little bit more difficult to drive on Thursday night with the Xfinity Series. So see if they can put that experience that they got a couple nights ago to good use, and see if we can see possibly an Xfinity driver making the jump up and getting a win.
Yeah, it should be an exciting finish out there, but we have to get started before we get to the finish. And you see them, they're starting to grid up under the lights here at Daytona out there on pit road. Let's go ahead and bring you the starting lineup for the Sparkle and Shine 200. And your first row is going to be a newcomer to the league, Reese Schaefer out of Tank Racing. He's taking the pole tonight with newcomer to Rev Racing, Gabriel Ellison on the outside pole. Dean Brummett for Royal Smith Racing, excuse me. He's going to be starting third there on the second row. And Tommy Gossett going to be starting fourth.
Yep, next couple rows. On row 3, we'll have Seth Berger out of Tank Racing starting in 5th. 6th place will be John Honeycutt out of Murray Reedy Motorsport. 7th place on row 4 will be James Holzer for Roel Smith Racing, and Joshua Balliet, the birthday boy, is starting 8th out of Tank Racing.
All right, and then starting 9th is going to be Kyle Johnson, one of our independents in that 48 machine. Scott Healy, last season's champion in the Cup Series, is going to be starting in 10th. And then 11th, the newcomer to Roel Smith Racing's Cup Series team, Nick Goen, out there starting 11th in that 88 machine. And then John Holliday is going to round out our top 12 in that 2 machine. So, Brandon, there you have it. There is our top 12 tonight. We have roughly 37 cars out there on the track as the pace car pulls off. We're going to see them follow in line behind them. Who do you got tonight, buddy?
I mean, it's Daytona, and as we've seen the last couple races, you can pretty much put anybody's name in a hat and just draw it out, and that's worth a pick. I think we've seen the 2 winners be outside of the top 12 at the start of the final lap, so it's just a complete pick-em at this point. I'm going to look at some of the guys that did well on Thursday, actually. I think we might see another surprise winner tonight. I'm actually going to go with the 98 of Nathan Nixon, somebody that was up front quite a bit on Thursday night in the Xfinity Series race. I want to see if he can keep that momentum going.
All right. Okay. I like that. Obviously, me coming from a Rev Racing team, I've just went through the field, and a guy that I'm really feeling has a shot to win it tonight. I see him running restrictor plate races all the time. Is going to be that Flavor Bomb machine, that number 78 of David Duke back there. He's starting towards the back of the pack. I imagine he's going to keep that car clean, and he is one of our most veteran drivers on this series. So I really expect him to keep that car clean till the end and be in a position to strike. And we'll see if he can bring it home tonight. But we're going to be rounding turns 3 and 4 here with Reese Schaefer and Gabriel Ellison on the front row.
Yep, and this is one of those interesting points where are you going to go for it right out of the gate, try to stay out front, or are we going to see a lot of drivers drop back like we did on Wednesday and Thursday? Who knows, but it's time to find out at Daytona.
Is going to peel off, and the field is in Reese Schaefer's hand in that 17 machine, and we are off. Let's see if we can get a clean first lap, something that has been a little difficult in each series. You know, last week on Thursday, we had a tough time getting started, but once we did, we went about 30 to 40 laps under green, had a green flag stop, and so far so good with these guys, 2 wide. And Reese Schaefer getting a good push from that 25 of Team Brumley, but he's going to step out and go for the lead here.
Yeah, we are not seeing them try to sort it out single file on this first lap. They're getting ready to go right out of the gate on this first of 80 laps. And it's a drag race down the Daytona super stretch between Schaefer and Brummett to get the lead on possibly that end of that first lap.
Yeah, there's always 2 completely different mindsets when we go to super speedways. And the first one is, well, the safest place is out front. The second the safest place is out back. So we're going to really see who has what mindset as we cross for the first lap completed here in the Cup Series. And so far, you can really see these guys up front are not wanting to really shuffle to the back yet. They are 2 by 2 by 2 for about 6 rows back. And so far, Reese Schaefer has the clean air up front. Dean Brummett not wanting to let him get too far away. He's going to cycle back down in that bottom lane. Gabriel Ellison leading the outside lane.
And one thing that I think anybody will notice tonight that you might not have noticed on Thursday is that these cars are going to handle a little bit better than what we saw with the Xfinity cars and what you and I experienced with the Xfinity cars on Thursday. Handling not really the biggest component here at Daytona, just because of the way that the track is laid out and the style of racing, but it does make a little bit of a difference. These cars handle a little bit better, a little bit more downforce than what we had on Thursday, and it is going to make it a little bit easier for the racing to go 2 wide and even 3 wide at times than what we've seen in series earlier this week.
It's a double-edged sword when it comes to super speedway racing, and with these Cup cars, like you said, the handling is a lot better, and that is due in part to that huge spoiler we see on the back. But with that comes, if you are in line behind any of these cars, it is really hard to see. So the vision is way down, but the handling is up on these guys. And right now they are getting single filed out, which will make it a little bit easier as they won't have to worry about a car on the outside of them. And we're coming back to lap 3 completed, and not much has changed up front. Seth Berger is going to be pushing that 17 of Reese Schaefer.
Yeah, and they've definitely gotten single file all the way back to about 14th position already. So we're seeing a very different style of racing than what we saw on Wednesday and Thursday. Though on Thursday, we did get about that 40-lap green flag run in the Xfinity Series after that opening caution on turn number 1. But it was similar to this. So there was a little bit more 2-wide racing up front, but then it was just single file all the way back. So we're seeing a very cautious approach. No fast repairs in this race, so nobody really wanting to put their car in danger with 77 laps to go still at this point.
Their fuel load will be nearly the same as what we were running, which was about 30 laps. So they will definitely have to stop twice to get to the end. 20 more laps than the Xfinity cars ran. We had 60-lap race. This is an 80-lap race tonight. We're already on lap 5. Things looking pretty calm out there, but we want to go ahead and give a shout-out to Sue Novak. She's saying, let's roll, 36 Kyle Spees. Grandma is here cheering you to the end. We love seeing that. Let us know if you guys are cheering anybody on in the chat. If you have anything to say, we will try to give you a shout-out. We love interacting with our fans.
Yeah, that's actually one of the cooler parts of the broadcast is that we've gotten over the past season, just like seeing these messages come in, knowing that people are watching, knowing that people are excited, and people are supporting either their family or friend or even teammate at that point. So very cool, and thanks for the message there, Sue. I'm sure Kyle will appreciate that.
Speeds, man, he's new to Rev Racing. We've developed a really good friendship so far and won a few races in these super speedways, so I expect him to be there when it matters most. I didn't want to give him my pick because you kind of talked me into it last week on the Truck Series race where you didn't want to jinx your own teammates. So, but he's definitely in the running, and we're starting to get a second group coming towards the end here. They are all lined up with about what looks to be 10 to 15 cars, which is definitely what you want if you want to run in the back. That will be able to get you back up to that lead pack and also at the same time kind of stay out of trouble.
It's interesting, too, because we're seeing them single file, but we're also seeing that lead group of 20 cars also being single file. So it looks like they had the idea of let's be cautious, and they're just turning out to be a little bit even more cautious than the cautious group, which is leading the way.
Yeah, well, luckily, at some point, this is restrictor plate super speedway racing. We will see a yellow at some point, so if they do start to fall off the pace, because, yeah, you're right, since this lead pack is single file, it probably is going to be hard to keep up with them, being that they are the bigger pack, but they will still be able to stay well within on the lead lap, so they will not fall too far off the pace. We'll keep in touch to see just how far off they fall, but just then, we are already on lap 9 here tonight, Brandon. This race is already kind of picking up and just flying by as they sort it all out.
Yeah, 10th of the way through very quickly as we just started about 8 minutes ago. So it only takes about 48 seconds around this track once you're at full speed and with the draft. So it's going to go a little bit quicker than you might anticipate, especially if it stays green like it has thus far.
Yeah, let's see if we can hop on board with this 25 machine of Dean Brummett just to talk about, again, how hard it is to see. He's got a little bit of distance in between him and the car in front. If he gets a little bit closer, you can just see really how much that spoiler will block your vision. But right now, so far, these guys are really spread out, not pushing each other. And that is kind of what you want as a whole field. You can feel a little bit more at ease and not have to worry about that big one because no one is pushing. But yeah, just right there, as I said it, they start to get a little bit closer behind Dean Brummett, and now we have a second line forming. And this guy, I'm not entirely sure, as we have a whole new load of paint schemes to really get used to. It looks like Matt Johnson there on the outside. He's going to have to be shuffled to the back here as he has no help, and they just are flying on by.
Yeah, he got hung out to dry there in that group, and that's actually that second group that we were keeping an eye on a little bit ago that caught that front pack. You see Nick going there. He was leading the way. He's out in front on the outside line. So now that second pack has joined. Now we just got one long train of cars from first, looks like all the way back to 35th position in Byron McDonald. So we got a train of 35 going around Daytona.
This is quite surprising to see, as we saw on Wednesday, Brandon, when we were commentating the truck race. It was aggressive up towards the front, all over the track. They were pushing every lap to be up front. Right now, that is not the case. I'm wondering if there was a driver's meeting on the side or something where these guys were just like, hey, let's kind of ride this thing out and all be there at the end. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. There is no pushing by anybody. And we are just riding it out right now. And you see it down there. One of our drivers in the truck series this year, Rob Yost, saying, let's go R&D, elbows up. Not so much right now, as it's just kind of a Sunday drive, but we will see those elbows up in a few laps. We'll say probably with 20 to go, things will definitely start ramping up.
Yeah, nobody throwing an elbow just yet, but this definitely feels a lot more like the Thursday race, and the similarity there is that there are no fast repairs when it comes to the Cup Series with this race tonight. So I think there's a lot more drivers that are just being cautious, and either way, I know on Thursday we had that big wreck on the final lap, and it almost kind of makes you feel like you just drove around for an hour just waiting for a landmine to go off, and that's kind of what happened there. And it's frustrating, but at least you know you got there to the end of the race, and it's a lot better than being very aggressive very early on and getting in trouble and ending your night quickly in a rather needless fashion when really you got to get to the end of the race to have a shot to win it. It's super easy to throw it away at Daytona and spark a big wreck in the process.
Yeah, and you hate ruining other people's days as well, so we're seeing a lot of respect for each other out there right now, which is great to see. You just saw Karen Hutchinson. She was rooting on Dean Brummett, saying, let's go 25. You also see Mad Dog Burger down there saying, let's go Burger. He is currently running second in that spot that you want to be in and just kind of riding behind the leaders. So your pick right now, Mad Dog, is doing really well. We'll see if he can hold it on till the end, but we are just ticking off these laps here, already to lap 13. And you see it there again. Mark Berger also rooting on Seth Berger. And that says 77 rolling.
Yeah, this little burger chain of messages there going with the last two, as got a couple there cheering on Seth Berger, sitting in that number 2 position and looking very comfortable in the process. And I like the way that everybody's kind of sorted out in this single file line. You mentioned it a bit ago, nobody really riding on the bumper of another car. I think that's pretty needless at this point in the race. You really don't need to go bump drafting this early. Maybe once you get to the final 10, 20 laps possibly. Is where you're. Oh, we got one of the one. There we go. Right outside pit entry.
Casey Feaster getting into. I'm not sure who that was, but there is going to be no caution thrown for that. Quite surprising, as Casey Feaster still struggling to get it together here. He's going to be down on the grass. His day is going to be done. He's going to have to take a tow potentially.
I'm actually surprised that there's no caution there. Typically, if you see everybody get down onto the infield, the iRacing system will not trigger the caution, but seeing that 20 car sitting on the start-finish line up on the pavement, that's a bit surprising that no caution was thrown.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to that story there. But right now, Casey Feaster is going to be most likely done out of this race with some damage and way behind the field. See it there. We just ticked off. We're on lap 15 now. Reese Schaefer still our leader. As you see one of those cars down there on the apron, we're going to have to go ahead and check a Beer Street Journal rec replay when we can get it queued up just to see exactly what happened there and who was involved. But yeah, like you mentioned though, Brandon, we have a lot of burger fans, and I really wanted to throw a joke in there before that happened and just say, was that kind of like a double cheeseburger since we had back-to-back burger?
Oh my. Cut off perfectly by the Beer Street Journal record on that one. Please drink and joke responsibly after that. Take a look back at what happened here on what probably could have been our first caution of the night. And you see that 20 car just catch the wall just a little bit, trying to save it, trying to keep it off of cars. And I think that just loosened him up enough where he wasn't able to catch it. And he wound up coming down on the 99 car of Christopher Lawrence.
Yeah.
And that just kind of got them out of this contention here. And with no caution, they're really not going to have a chance to get any repair. And they're going to start struggling here as both have already fallen one lap down.
It's kind of a revved racing line back there, and it just, all it takes is for Casey Feaster to kind of get into the wall. Like I mentioned, it's hard to see past these cars, so not surprising when you see some guys get into the wall there, and that just shoots you back down to the track. And unfortunately for Feaster, that shot him right back down into his teammate of Christopher Lawrence. So those guys are going to have trouble being in contention in this race with that damage. Like we said, no fast repairs here in the Cup Series, but as you see there, we're starting to get a second line moving up towards the front, so these guys are going to have to get those elbows up here and do some driving here shortly, like Rob Yost mentioned earlier. I'm not sure who that lead car is, but I see a few of the Rev Racing cars in there. Scott Kowal in the mix.
That's the 19 of Bo Brady leading that outside line in that red and white number 19 car. Now he got moved off that position by Kyle Johnson in the 48, and that outside line starting to make a move towards the front, and we might see some side-by-side racing for the first time since about lap 2.
And Reese Schaefer way too far out in front. He's not going to have any push as these guys just fly right on by him. If they want to stay up there, Seth Berger is going to now have to make a move and get on the bumper and start pushing that 77 machine. But right there, we have a new race leader, a newcomer to the series, Kyle Johnson in the 48 machine. He is clean air out in front as we exit too. He brings the machine of Bo Brady right behind him.
Bo Brady right behind him making his debut as well. Then you got a couple of veterans here with Reedy and Spees sitting inside the top 5 as well. Reese Schaefer still holding on to that 4th position as he fended off that attack for the most part. Once that top 3 got clear of Schaefer on the inside line, they all dropped down to prevent a run on the inside, and that kind of broke up that outside run just a little bit. They're still tightly formed, but they lost about half of the group, and that means half of the energy also went away in that draft.
Yeah, they're going to have to reform and just build that momentum back up, but you saw how quickly that happened and developed and how easily Kyle Johnson got to the lead. And, yeah, you see the 3rd car in that outside line. He just dropped back down into the inside. So right now that outside line is starting to fall apart a little bit with Scott Kowal, Kyle Spees leading the way. They're going to have to find their way back into that low line and really find some guys to go with them here if they want to make their way up to the front, which it looks like they do. Kyle Spees, a great super speedway racer out there, and you see 4 cars out there, and Daniel Bowdler says, who in that 6 machine? That's your teammate, buddy. You let him just take your car number like that? That's your car. What is going on?
Jovi just jumping in Daniel's car there and taking it for a joyride here around Daytona after a 2nd place finish in the Xfinity Series on Thursday night. But meanwhile, back out in front, it's Kyle Johnson, an independent driver. How about that? Single car operation there for Kyle Johnson, leading the way around a track where teammates come at a premium here.
Yeah, well, I'm sure some teams are going to be looking at him after he made that move to the front look very easy. And his 48 car is getting all the TV time. You see Kyle Spees drop way below the line. He must have got a not so good push from whoever that is behind him, but able to get it back together and fall in line. And right now you see it like we saw earlier in the race, they are going back to single file from first all the way back. So these cars are getting lighter, and you are seeing that happen right before your eyes. They're kind of just bobbing and weaving all back and forth with that lighter weight.
Yeah, and that weight is coming off the car because of the amount of fuel that has already been burned. We're 2/3 of the way through this run, and honestly, getting past Reese Schaefer, actually getting a bit of a benefit by that. By staying out in front, you're the one punching the hole through the air. You're not getting that benefit where you can kind of hold the throttle about 80-90% and still keep up at pace with the car in front of you. When you're in this big draft. So really, he's able to save a little bit of fuel in this process. And by that, you're looking at about a 1 lap difference, 2 lap difference in fuel over the course of the entire fuel load. So that could come into play here when we get to these green flag pit stops, should we get there without a caution.
Yeah, kind of a blessing in disguise for Reese Schaefer as he's back and forth now after leading probably what was the first 15 laps of this race, and kind of just letting them tow him along, which he kind of needs. Right now, the 48 punching the hole in the air. He is burning up more fuel than anybody else in the field, so we're going to see if he has any help when they come down for green flag pit stops, and what I imagine is going to be close to maybe 6 or 7 laps from now. You really got to sort that out with the guys around you and your teammates to make sure that you do not pit by yourself. But Brandon, we might see some green flag stops here today.
Yeah, and the interesting point on that is going to be where will people make their pit stop? You can go about 30 to 33 laps, I would say, on a full fuel tank. And you're thinking about an 80-lap distance, so you could cut the race into thirds and come in around lap 27 if you wanted to and still be able to make it there and kind of breaking it up level. But the thing you also got to keep in mind is as this race gets down to the final laps, there is a lot more intensity, a lot more side-by-side, a lot more three-wide racing, and the potential cautions does go up from there. And we saw it on Thursday with the green-white checker finish. You can't basically count on this race ending at lap 80. You do have to plan on this going probably 85 to 88 laps based on what we've seen already this week. So I think going at least to maybe that last lap of fuel on your fuel tank is probably the way to go.
But then again, when you do have that option of going to the last lap, you have to be careful because this is one of the hardest pit roads to get on and woe that car down. And it's very easy to just miss pit lane. So if that is the case and you do that and you run out of fuel, you're going to be taking a tow back to pit road, ultimately ending your day. So like you said, it is an option to make it all the way to the last lap. I know we did that on Thursday, but man, you really have to be on your game because these cars are not easy to slow down when you're traveling well over 200 miles an hour.
And to your point, it's a double whammy there. If you're pushing it to the end, even if you're not pushing it to the end and you try to come down pit road and you get out of line and then you happen to be over driving it and miss pit entry, you're also losing the pack. When you lose the pack, you're losing a group to come in on pit road with. And when you lose that, as we got Jake Rowell slow going down to the inside, he might be just giving up. Actually, that's getting lapped. I apologize. That caught me way off guard. Not sure what happened there. I'm wondering if he got caught up in that incident on lap 14 that nearly brought out that caution. We got pit stops coming.
Yep, here we go. We just saw some cars pull off. We're going to see exactly how many there were. We see 2 right now, Reese Schaefer and Seth Berger. That is going to kind of help them. You know, this isn't the worst case because I imagine we're going to see some guys peel off this lap as well, and they should be able to get into their draft, but 2 cars is not what you want to be pitting with. But like I said, I think they're going to be okay, Brandon.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still thrown off by what we saw just before that as we watched that. And yeah, 2-car breakaway into the pit, that's risky, and you're not really going to gain any speed by coming in a little bit earlier and getting the fresher tires. That's not really a factor here. So having 2 drivers make their way to pit road by themselves, very risky. We're seeing a big pack. We're also seeing one get very close to driving into the 48.
Wow.
Not sure who that was on first glance. It was Tommy Gossett. Nearly had trouble getting into pit road.
Yeah, he did a great job of checking up and not running into the 48 of Kyle Johnson. But with that, we have a new leader with that new team, Austin Reedy. a returner this season from he ran Bronco Motorsports last year, now running for Murray Reedy Motorsports, and has that car out front just behind or just ahead of Kyle Spees and Scott Kalal. We see this field kind of broken up right now, which is kind of slowing them down as well, which is going to ultimately help these cars that are on pit lane. So let's see who comes down this time, Brandon.
Yeah, and it's going to be the first 3, 6, 7. Now the rest of the field all coming down. We got one locking it up. It looks like everybody going to be able to hang on, though.
Yeah, doing a great job of giving everybody space. They are 4 wide on pit road, and they all did a fantastic job. Yeah, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this cycle of green flag pit stops. Whenever these guys get off pit road, we're going to see who cycles back out to the lead. Right now, it's showing Gabriel Elson. Producer Sean is apologizing for the camera angles we were given on pit road, but here we go with this pack that is back out on track, led with Tommy Gossett leading the way. We're going to see if he gets ahead of these guys getting off pit road.
Meanwhile, I'm watching the pit exit as these guys are going by. We just had about 9 cars go with 3 by 3 exiting pit road. They get it sorted out to go single file down the apron. That was a very tense moment, and now we're going to see where this plays out as Tommy Gossett leading this pack at full speed, going around the apron at about 50 miles an hour or less are the drivers that just came down pit road, and Gossett's going to try to pull out in front of all of them, but I don't think he's going to get all the way to the front of this line.
See right there, the 9 machine of Jake Rowell coming out with these guys, so he must have pitted as well. He is looking to be a lap down in this field. So he did get involved in that first incident, and there you have it. Austin Reedy still in the lead at this moment. Not sure exactly where he's at on the track. We'll have to take a look and find him. There you have it. He is all by himself, so these guys are going to blow on by him within... We're going to see that probably happen on the backstretch, I imagine, as they are going to get all formed up, and he is just a lone duck out there as the leader right now.
And the way that he came out so much faster, I'm not sure if that's because of the shuffle that everybody was in, trying to sort out going down the apron, or the possibility, oh, we got trouble on the backstretch. Caution is out on the track. As I just saw one going upside down, we see Mike Lewis sideways. The 23 just went by as Scott Kalal through the grass.
Emerson Ardon. Yep, so we're going to go ahead and have another opportunity to take a look at the Beer Street Journal rec replay to really find out exactly what happened here. These guys just got off of pit stops, and, you know, it is tough to get back out there on track. Typically, nobody takes fresh tires, so, and there you have it. The 05 getting turned by Emerson Ardon right there.
Yeah, just, coming off that line just a little bit, and the 05 going to probably see his night over with that, the damage that'll come from getting up on the side, not just on the left side, but the right side as well. And it looks like Ardon trying to give him a good push there coming out of turn number 2. May have caught him a little bit at an odd angle, and then we got netcode pretty heavily. That was still probably a good 6 to 10 inches of space there between the two cars, but iRacing's system assumed that contact was about to happen and really just drove that home, and it got the 5 turned around upside down just a little bit, and the 57 caught up in it as well.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and see exactly what happened to Jake Rowell as well. He should be getting his lap back as he is the first car a lap down, but we have another opportunity to check a Beer Street Journal rec replay just to find exactly what put Jake back there. And you see him down there on the inside line trying to avoid all this happening, and he's just going to get hit big time right there by Christopher Lawrence.
Yeah, we did not see that happen on the original video because he was so far down through that infield grass. Was kind of out of the shot when that happened, but definite significant damage there to the 9 car and one of the title favorites here entering the season. Not off to a great start here, getting caught up in that trouble on lap 14, and we're seeing a lot of drivers making a pit stop. This tells me that there were a lot of drivers that just took right side tires on that opening green flag stop.
Yeah, so it's either right sides or none, and you're going to come down and get a fresh pair of tires. Tires don't matter too much here on super speedways. You'll take them off, and they'll still be around 100 to 99% grip left, but still nice to have when you go back out there on track. But yeah, I believe Jake Rowell should be able to get his lap back now. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep pace with the field after that. That was a big hit. So We will pay attention to that. We still have a lot of time left in this race. We are currently on lap 31. A great green flag run to start. Brandon, what are you thinking of this so far?
I mean, we've seen a little bit of everything. We saw the majority of this being a single file train just running down the inside, but we did have some moments of good side-by-side racing with that outside line that formed about 10 laps ago, really getting a good run, and we saw that outside momentum really come into play where the top three were able to move out to the front and cut down in front of that inside line. So that tells me that the outside is really generating a lot of momentum and a lot of speed, and we might see that come into play big time when we get to the later laps in this race.
Do you think that we will see some more two-wide racing this go-around, or you think that we'll settle it out again and kind of ride it out single file for the next green flag cycle? What are you thinking?
I think that since we still have one more guaranteed pit stop that's going to happen, I don't think we're going to see it as significant as straight line single file as we did this last run, but I think we're still going to see a majority of the time it being mostly single file racing on this second stint.
All right, well, you see it there. The pace car lights are off. Let's go ahead and run through our top 10 as you see it there on the side as we run currently. First is going to be Austin Reedy in that one machine, followed by the 17 there of Reese Schaefer. Third place, he's got a lot of fans in the stands. The number 77 of Seth Berger. Fourth, going to be Kyle Johnson. And then coming in fifth, you see it there, is going to be another Kyle Benson, Brandon.
I love the symmetry of that, by the way. Kyle Benson rocking Johnny Benson's old number there with the 10. Birthday man, Joshua Balliet, going to be sitting in 6th position. In 7th, we're going to have the 13 of Craig Lautenslager. We're going to have Xfinity Series driver Vincent Cortez sitting in the 8th position. Haven't mentioned his name a whole lot today, but there he is up in the top 10. Sitting in 9th, we're going to have that's going to be John Honeycutt in the 50 car on the inside. On the outside is going to be Raul Meza sitting in the 37 car.
Yeah, I love going through these top 10s, especially in this first week, because like I said, we have a lot of new drivers to get used to, so that only helps us get familiar with them. But that is your current top 10 here at the Sparkle and Shine 200. And you see it there. Like I mentioned earlier, the pace car lights are off. We're 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. And Austin Reedy is going to have this field in his hands as the pace car is about to peel off. And we will be back under green after our first caution of the night. Let's see exactly how good of a restart Austin Reedy gets. He doesn't want to get too good. Otherwise, he is going to be a lone duck out there, and that outside line is just going to fly by him. He gets about 2 car lengths on Seth Berger behind him. I imagine Kyle Johnson and Reese Schaefer are going to get a really good run here on the outside, potentially be able to clear Austin.
Yeah, not sure what happened there with the 77, but that was not a great restart, and that kind of left Austin Reedy to fend for himself as he got about 2 car lengths out in front of that 77 Mustang, and there you see the result of it. Reese Schaefer goes by. Kyle Johnson is starting to move by as well, as that outside line really formed nice and tight through the first 4, but you're going to see a lot more depth to the line on the inside, and that might generate a little bit more power than the outside might be able to handle.
Reese Schaefer making a new friend out there, Kyle Johnson, not leaving that 48 on the outside lane. We have a battle for the lead as we come back around to the start-finish line, and we will see who gets it this time. Looks like it's going to be Reese Schaefer leading that lap. Austin Reedy just behind him, but man, Austin is not letting him go anywhere. These guys are pushing hard, both on the inside and outside lane.
This is a lot like what we saw on Thursday once we got around that 20 lap point, about similar percentage through the race. We saw it getting very much side by side all the way back, and we're seeing that here once again tonight in the Cup side of things, as this one's staying side by side for the second consecutive lap as Reese Schaefer is going to cut down to that inside line. We might start seeing that outside start to filter into the inside line and start merging into that single file line again.
Mentioned Reese was making a friend in the 48, and then he ditches him. And he is the leader on the inside lane now as we come back to the stripe, followed by Austin Reedy, Seth Berger. That's your top 3 as we speak. But right now, that outside line not giving up just yet. They don't really have anywhere to go, and they are not really formed up too tight, so they are not going to have the momentum they need to really make a push back to the front. Maybe going to just settle in, like you said. But right now, further on back, we're seeing everybody get back into that single file manner and just kind of going to ride this thing out like we saw in the first stint.
Yep, 33 drivers on the lead lap. The top 29 all within about 3 seconds of each other. So that we're seeing that single pack all the way through. Then we got 4 drivers that have fallen off just a little bit, whether by choice or possibly by damage to their vehicles, just keeping them keeping them slowed a little bit. But Reese Schaefer back out to the point here once again tonight, as he had a strong first run in that opening segment of the race, and Bruce out in front once again, leading the way ahead of Austin Reedy, Seth Berger, Kyle Benson, and Lautenschlager also out in the top 5. As we start to see that outside line form once again, they only have 4 cars against about 9. Not sure how far they're going to go, but they're taking a shot at it. 2
Kyles working together right now, leading that outside line. Kyle Johnson going to go to the inside. Kyle Benson, we're 3 wide in 3 and 4. We're going to see if they are able to get through this cleanly. And
there we go. One around. Brady around. It looked like Benson got into the wall. They're going to stay green because everything filtered down to the inside as Vincent Cortez into the inside wall. A spot that is well known to collect damaged vehicles. Coming out of turn 4, Bo Brady slowed as he's trying to get the momentum back, but he's probably got some significant damage somewhere on that car as he took a pretty heavy hit. And one thing that we're seeing now because of this is we're now seeing about 3 or 4 different groups make their way around the track, all in separate packs.
Yeah, and this lead pack approaching a lapped car, Mike Lewis, they're going to have to go to the outside of him here as he is going to be hugging that bottom line. We'll see if they can get by him cleanly. Shouldn't have any problem, but still always makes you a little nervous with that speed difference, and they're going to be able to get by him just fine. But yeah, they were going 3 wide through turns 3 and 4, which caused that incident that we just saw, and that always makes you tense up a little bit when you're out there on the track. And unfortunately causing a few guys' nights to be over. But right now, Reese Schaefer is just leading the way as he has been most of the night tonight, doing a great job in his series debut. Like we mentioned in the pre-race show brought to us by Healthcare Billing Incorporated, we saw 2 new winners already this week, and could we see a third? Right now, it's looking like we may.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona is the home of the upset wins, and seeing a lot of first-time winners just because of the nature of racing that we have. But right behind Schaefer, you've got a few veteran drivers here in the series in one form or another, whether it be Cup Series or one of our other series, with Austin Reedy sitting there in 2nd, Seth Berger in 3rd, Joshua Balliet in 6th. And then we also have Matt Johnson sitting in the 8th position. So that lead pack, a solid mix of rookie drivers to SRN as well as some veterans.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check in with our Cup Series champion from last season, Scott Healy. And he is all by himself out there on a lonely island. Not sure exactly what's going on there. We'll have to see exactly. He's running 30th place right now. Not sure exactly how far off the pack he is, but still, no cars around there. He's going to need a caution to come out to help him out. But that second pack behind this lead pack getting a little bit racy in that previous lap, if I saw correctly. Right now, they might be sorting it out a little bit, but they were 2 to 3 wide back there as that little wreck that we saw happen kind of split these 2 up. But this is the bigger pack on the track right now, and they should have no problem running down these leaders.
Yeah, and when we looked at Scott Healy, noticing that he's by himself, he is 4.5 seconds behind the next car on the track in front of him. And he made his way around the damaged vehicle of Bo Brady, and now he's got no help at all, except for lapped cars that are slow and off the pace that he's passing. So it's going to be a rough night if this thing stays green for the defending series champ. And that's kind of a theme that we've been seeing for our Championship 5 from last season. A lot of rough nights going for those guys, and it's a lot of the newcomers that are having a good showing here as we watch Kyle Benson, another one of those newcomers, leading that second pack in 9th, but leading the race is rookie driver Reese Schaefer, continuing to hold the lead as we pass halfway.
It's halfway. I always like to say I would rather be lucky than good here at the super speedways, and that is what you need. A lot of luck to get to the end of these races and be in contention to win it. And that's what we're seeing right now from these guys out in front, and not what we're seeing from our series leaders last season of Jake Rowell and Scott Healy. So we're going to see exactly what happens. Anything can happen here and these guys could easily get back in the race. But right now, the race is between these 8 cars as they pass what I believe is the Vincent Cortez machine. He's going to be a lap down as he has no help. See if he can get in line here, but I imagine he has a fair amount of damage after that last little incident.
Yeah, and the best thing that can happen here for the drivers in that second pack that are about 3 seconds off are to see these guys get side by side. We saw it briefly, and I think that was partly an incidental pick there by Cortez with the way that he was going around and everybody's just getting past him. A couple drivers tried to take the opportunity to maybe gain a position or two in the process and made it side by side. Now we're seeing that happen once again, and that is a great sign for people that are 9th on back, for Nathan Nixon back in that second pack, because if the longer they stay side by side, it's just going to pull that momentum away from this lead pack. And that second pack, if they can stay single file, they're just going to reel them in faster and faster.
Yeah, I've been watching the telemetry on our scoring pylon on the side. You can see Nathan Nixon there in the 98 machine sitting in 9th, and you can just watch that time tick away. I've watched it ever since he was 3.5 seconds back, and within a lap, they are making up a second. So within probably 5 laps, I imagine we are going to have another big pack. As you see Gator and the water temps there, not sure exactly what's going on. You see Lions Pride down there saying they coming, and that's exactly what we're talking about. He's down to 2.2 seconds. They are formed up really nicely back here. Nathan Nixon leading the way just in front of Raul Meza, and I believe that's Dean Brummett sitting there in the 3rd car in that pack.
Now, with this being 3 different teams represented by the 3 drivers leading the pack, communication is going to be a little bit harder unless they're using the driver chat. But if you start doing that, you're given the information on what you might do once you catch this lead pack. If I'm them, I try to find a way to communicate and say, look, when we get up there, if they're on the inside, we're all going outside. If they're on the outside, we're all going inside. Just trying to figure out the way they can use this run the best, because they're going to have a whole lot more momentum once they catch this front line.
Said 5 laps. I'm going to cut that down to maybe next lap. That is how quickly Nathan Nixon is closing that gap down to 1.3 seconds. He's already catching that back draft. They are going to be absolutely flying right here. Nathan Nixon probably going to put down what is the best lap of the race so far, just getting that push from Raul Meza and getting that big toe from Joshua Balliet just in front of him. We're going to see exactly what happens here. He's going to have to go 3 wide if he wants to split these cars on the bottom or not, or just get in behind, which it looks like he's not wanting to get too aggressive right now, but maybe get a little bit confident on the backstretch here. We're going to see as Raul Meza stays to the inside, leaving Nathan Nixon, but Dean Brummett going to go up there with the 98 machine, and he's going to have the 24 car of Ryan Ducombe fall in behind him as well in the teammate machine there in the 24 DuPont colors. And you see it there. That is not Daniel Bowdler. That is Jovi Sagiped. So RSR is starting to form up there on the outside line. And we have 2 lines of racing right now as they kind of fan out a little bit. Kyle Johnson getting a big push all the way to the front. New leader.
Oh, wow, that was a close moment there with Matt Johnson cutting down, actually getting down under the yellow line in the process, but it's going to be Kyle Johnson being pushed by Matt Johnson out at the front on the inside line, and here comes Nathan Nixon, one of the Xfinity Series drivers that had a strong showing on Thursday night. He's going to be leading the outside line side by side for second place, looking to go side by side for first place as he's getting that push from Ryan Ducombe.
Yeah, Nathan's really hungry this season. Going to have to avoid his teammate there in the 99 machine, Christopher Lawrence. One of the cars we saw involved in that first wreck that did not bring out a caution. His night really over. But that high line is strong right now. Brian, you have to be really careful not to make contact here with the 48. We have another new leader. It's Nathan Nixon. He is in front of the Sparkle and Shine 200.
Yeah, fitting sponsor on that car, leading the Sparkle and Shine 200. It's the Sparkle and Shine 98, leading the way with Nathan Nixon. Saw a sketchy moment there. Sorry if I cut into you there just a little bit. I saw that 24 car of Ryan Ducombe giving that push in the tri-oval, which is probably where the cars are the lightest on track, where they want to get the most, get sideways the easiest. And he was definitely giving him a good shove into that start-finish line, and I was worried about that one, how that was going to play out, but everybody kept it straight. They've done a great job since this second line, or the second group, caught that lead group and had all that momentum surge, and that's a very easy time to see a big accident happen, and we avoided that. Everybody handles it well, and we're starting to get single file once again.
These independent drivers doing a great job working with each other, as we see 7 of the top 5 or top 10 are all independents, and all of the top 5 are independents, whether they're moving up from their original series or just don't have a team here in the Cup Series. But you see it there, Nathan Nixon, Kyle Johnson, Matt Johnson, Ryan Ducombe, and Jovi Ray. That's our current top 5, and I always love to mention my love for Ryan Ducombe, as he helped me out big time last year when I pulled off a crazy win in the Cup Series last year. He is a fantastic super speedway racer, so no surprise seeing him work his way up to the front. But right now, Nathan Nixon going to be trying to avoid the Mike Lewis machine down there. We have a few lap cars that they're coming up on, and everyone's going to go to the outside. Daniel Bowdler saying, here comes the 6. I thought it feels weird just typing that out, Daniels, as you have just given away the keys to your ride here this week.
Possibly for good with the showing that Jovi's had here, having a fantastic run there in the top 5. And we're starting to see side-by-side once again as Matt Johnson trying to look on the outside. He's in the 61 as it's registered, 71 as it appears on the paint scheme there. But now he's going to get left hung out to dry as Ducombe moves inside, taking that 3rd position, falling in line. And the 71 is going to have a very lonely feeling as there's still about 8 cars, now more, lining up on the inside. And this might be a free fall to the end of that line.
It's not a so good feeling after you work your way all the way up to the front, and you're going to fall all the way to the back and hopefully be able to latch on to their draft and keep up. But we are just about halfway or over halfway of this fuel run here. So I imagine, if they pit from here on out, they should be able to make it to the end of the race. So we could be seeing green flag pit stops at any moment, but I have to imagine they will go at least 10 more laps before that happens, in case, getting a lap down, or we could see a whole team come down, and that is what needs to happen to be able to keep pace with the field. We will see exactly what happens here as we have 30 laps left.
Yeah, and we saw a few of the drivers come in on lap 25, 26 on that first run. We did have a caution thrown in there, so you can kind of go with 2-to-1, 3-to-1 kind of ratio on the fuel. So I'm thinking we'll start seeing cars make their way in, possibly on lap 55 is what I'm thinking we'll have there, where we might start seeing some of the drivers make their way in. I think we're going to see the majority come in around lap 60, which I think is kind of that safe spot to avoid the possible green-white checker, where you might be able to stay out there and not get caught on pits as Nathan Nixon blinking out just a little bit. That is a scary feeling if you're Kyle Johnson right behind him on a super speedway where you have no idea where he went for a second. And that's just an internet quality thing where every now and then, for those not familiar with iRacing, just the amount of bandwidth that's used on this, sometimes you just kind of lose that little bit and you just blink just a little bit on the iRacing server, and that is a very sketchy moment there on a super speedway.
Nathan has trouble with that from time to time. Being from California, he's using the Pacific servers. We race here on the Boston server, so he has a little bit of extra ways to go to get that connection in, but still, nonetheless, he doesn't blink all too much, so he does not have to go to the back of the pack. He's not causing any trouble here. But what we're seeing right now is kind of what we saw a little bit earlier. There is a second pack falling back. John Honeycutt is going to be the leader of that pack. He's running 10th right now, and they are about 1.2, 1.3 seconds off of this first lead pack. So not sure if they are trying to get some separation or if something happened to cause that separation, but we have another 2-pack, 3-pack race here.
Yeah, and I can... And by the way, there's an update there. Matt Johnson in the 61 car mentioned that he was going to have a possible free fall. He fell all the way back to 24th out of the 28 drivers still on the lead lap and still giving up a couple positions there. So that is the damage that can be done when you get hung out to dry. As the leader's starting to come in on lap number 54, it's Nathan Nixon, first one on. Kyle Johnson going to give up second place right behind him.
Sounds smart, saying that these pit stops could happen anytime, and we're seeing them unfold here. This is going to be the last pit stop of the day for these guys, and they have enough cars going down there with them. They shouldn't have any problem keeping pace. We'll see if that brings anybody else down or if they want to run a few more laps. Jovi Ray giving a big push to Ryan Ducombe, kind of getting him a little squirrely, but we have a 4-car RSR train right here with Ryan Newcomb, Joby Ray, Dean Brummett, and James Holzer here.
Yeah, there are a couple names we haven't really brought up much today with Dean Brummett and James Holzer, but there they are, kind of doing that fall back early and then charge up late in the race. That's something that I tried to do on Thursday. Worked pretty well up until that last lap, and it's working well once again here for Brummett and Holzer as they sit in the 3rd and 4th position, but it's Ryan Newcomb to the point for the first time today. Question is, when will this group of cars come in, as it's only 6 drivers back from Newcomb to Gossett. So if they all come in together, they're going to have a 6-car pack, which decent, but if there's a pack of about 12 to 18 cars that makes their way on the pit road, they might be in a little bit of trouble pace-wise coming out of the pits.
Yeah, I have to imagine they are scrambling on the comms at the moment, just figuring out exactly when they want to go in. Not this lap. It's always a scary feeling and not wanting to pit because you're worried about a caution coming out. But the good thing about super speedways is that here you should not lose a lap, especially when they're only taking fuel only, I imagine. We have Austin Reedy coming down here with Craig Lautenslager, as well as John Honeycutt, and probably a few more drivers, I imagine, as you see these guys just flying by Raul Meza.
Yeah, and we saw Reedy backed up in his pits. He overshot the pit. He was the first car in that pack on the pit lane, so he might not have any damage there when it comes to falling off of the group that he came in with. So we watch 5th place, another one of the drivers that we haven't mentioned much, Doc Holliday, sitting in the 5th position. He's going to be coming in by himself, and this is going to be problematic for the driver of the 2-car.
Like we said earlier, not what you want to have happen. He is not within these team communications at RSR, and unfortunately going to fall off the pace here a little bit. Hopefully going to be able to cycle out with these guys that pit before him. We will have to see exactly what happens. But wow, we have a lot of cars on pit road. Someone's around back there. Andrew Lewis, excuse me. Ramsey Cole Racing entry of Andrew Lewis getting a little bit of trouble on pit lane. That's going to really hurt his time, and he is going to be another one of those drivers we expect to fall off the pace. But the pace is not letting up, and here we have it. RSR is going to come down pit lane this time.
Gossett stays out, and he's going to be all by himself in the lead. As you see, the 37 of Raul Meza is going to be behind him, but he has already come in, I do believe, as he is 1 lap down. So that is a sketchy position. If I'm Gossett, I'm looking at that going, I just missed a huge opportunity to pit with other cars. And he's saying now on the driver chat that he's going to be coming in this time by, and that is going to be a lonely feeling being the last driver to make a pit stop.
For him is that he has draft help out there right now. If he was left out there by himself, I would be a little more concerned for him. I expect him to be able to still latch on to somebody's draft as he exits the pits. We'll see if he gets a clean entry here. He's going to have to get everything he can out of this entry and make it a quick stop. But here we go. He has made it cleanly. We see RSR getting back out there. Always a sketchy feeling with no tires, as it just feels like you're skating on ice. Looks like they all get off cleanly, but it looks like Dean Brummett is a little bit of the ways back, and he might not be able to keep up with his team's pace here. I'm not sure if we can look back just to see exactly how far he is. Yeah, that is not good for the 25 machine.
Yeah, you're looking at about 1 second, 1.25 seconds where you're still feeling the effect of that draft, and that is not close enough there. It's about 2.5, 2.75 seconds back from Jovi back to Dean. I don't think that's going to be good enough. Now, Brummett does have some help coming up behind him with Honeycutt, Lautenslager, Kalal, and a couple others, but they're going to be whipping right by him. He's going to have to latch on to the back.
That's always such a nail-biting feeling, is being able to hopefully latch on to someone's draft. I imagine he should be able to, but you see those car lengths growing between him and Scott Kalal. I think he has the draft to be able to latch on to this 4-car pack. As we see Tommy Gossett coming between both of these packs, he's going to fall back to that pack we were just talking about, and they will have a 5-car team going there to hopefully catch up and make up some ground. But we have tandem drafting out here right now, Brandon. After that last round of green flag stops, we have packs all over the track.
Yeah, this is definitely feeling like a little bit of 2000, I believe it was 2012, when it was Wow, it's completely slipping from my mind all of a sudden. But we saw
Trevor Bayne won.
Trevor Bayne, thank you. He owns a coffee shop now in Tennessee. Actually seen it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Trevor Bayne winning that race, and it was all tandem drafting to get that job done. And we're seeing something very similar where it's about trios drafting here out in front, and a lot of guys just going with this 2x2x2 kind of style.
Yeah, I'm not sure who they just blew by right there, but that red car is not going to be able to latch on to this draft of these 3 RSR cars. They're going to hopefully get Scott Healy in here, although he is, I believe, a lap down. Not exactly sure, but he is a lap down, so he's going to try and help his boys out here and maybe be able to push them up to the front, as he is he's going to have to really work to stay with that draft. Not sure if he's got any damage or what, but that 64 machine falling back, and he's going to have to really run a tight line here to really suck up to that 6 machine of Jovi Ray.
Watching the RPM gauge that we had on that onboard, I think there's a little bit of a draft that he's feeling. I don't know if it's going to be enough to hang on to that and add that 4th car to the draft, and you can see he's starting to fall back a little bit more. But it's that 3-car breakaway with 20 laps to go leading this thing, and if it stays green, they might be okay unless a few of the other cars that are behind can start linking up a couple of those packs. But I don't think a group of 4 to 5 cars is going to have enough power to close down 3 seconds without a little bit of help.
Well, there is a big pack back there. From 9th on back, there's about 10 to 12 cars all linked up. Not sure if we can go back there right now, but they are headed by that one machine of Austin Reedy, and he has a pack that's big enough that I believe if they really push, that they can catch these RSR cars. They should be going faster, and just look at the time tick off on the side. They need to really get a little bit tighter, not racing anybody if they want to have any shot at winning this race. The time not ticking off nearly as fast as they need to, but I imagine that they will eventually catch that pack of John Honeycutt, Craig Lautenslager, Scott Kalal, and Dean Brummett, as well as Tommy Gossett, and then they will have a really big pack to see if they can run down these 3-4 RSR cars if Scott Healy is able to keep up with them.
I think if this group can catch the group in front of them from 4th to 8th, and I would say the next 8 to 10 laps, they've got a legit shot. If they can form that bigger group, what we saw earlier was a group of 8 getting chased down by a group of about 12 or 14 cars, and the difference was a second a lap. As Scott Healy actually joins that group, he did hang on to the draft and actually pulled up to add a little bit extra power to that draft. That's only going to help that RSR group that is leading the way. But if those 2 groups, that second group and third group, can come together, they might have a shot. But we're seeing that interval grow just a little bit, and I think that was partly, in fact, to them getting a little bit side by side and starting to go too wide just a little bit, partially getting around that lap car.
Yeah, losing a lot of time. Really surprised to see that as they were starting to chip off. They've lost a whole second since the last lap. They're going to really have to work together, come over to Team Comms, and really come to a plan and figure out exactly how they can catch this pack that is just leading the way here at Sparkle and Shine 200 here at Daytona. We're down to 17 to go, with Ryan Ducom, an independent driver, leading the way just ahead of his teammates James Holzer and Jovi Ray.
Yeah, I mean, and the big winner in this, if you want to look at the points right out of the gate, is going to be James Holzer, who's sitting there in second with the drivers that will not be running the full season in the Cup Series around him. So this is a great feeling if you're James Holzer. As we watch on the bottom of the screen, the timing difference between the leader of this pack and the leader of the race, Ryan Ducom, and Austin Reedy in ninth, the leader of that biggest pack on the track right now, that's still in some contention. And you can see the timing difference in that pack as they still get a little bit side by side here and there. You're looking at 3/4 of a second one lap, 0.2 of a second one lap. They were barely faster on lap 62, and then on lap 63 and 64, they lost over 1.2 seconds to this lead pack because of how tight they are staying in this group of four.
Goes to show you how the camaraderie of a four-car team working together works compared to just, different teammates and just drivers that are not used to driving around each other. Yeah, they were almost a second slower that time. This four-car pack is just pulling away from everybody on the track. Now looking at John Honeycutt, he is 5 seconds back, sitting there in fourth. Nobody is closing the gap on these leaders. I, at this point, think the only thing that is going to maybe shake things up is if we see that caution that we...
You were saying?
Oh, my goodness. Well, there you have it. You have the second caution of the night.
And it was the second pack as we see Dean Brummett slow. We saw a couple of cars. Tommy Gossett was involved. There he is. So the second pack, I believe Scott Kalal also involved. There he is, and that car might be done for the night, or he's just trying to get it off the apron, actually, it looks like, and he's going to tow out. But the second pack is, well, it's going to unite the field once again, which is what they wanted to do, not necessarily this way as we look at the Beer Street Journal Rec replay.
Not taking any credit for that, by the way. So here you have it right now. Tommy Gossett giving a little bit of a shove. Oh. Dean Brummett gets him loose and sends him down the 23 machine, and that is going to involve all three of these drivers and potentially end all of their nights. Not what Dean Brummett wanted by any means, as his teammates, he just hooked the bumper a little bit right there and unfortunately came right down into Scott. Yeah, big damage for all these cars. So
it's so easy to do that here at Daytona, and you know, the cars are super light down the back straightaway as well, and just because of the way that the downforce works, and if you get that bumper against the rear bumper of the car in front of you and it's not at the cleanest angle, it was kind of like what we just saw there with the 10 and the 25, you catch them a little bit off at a wrong angle and it will turn a car quickly, and that is why we saw what we did. And I think the one that got the worst of it is probably that 23 of Scott Kalal, who had a hard front impact, and that will probably end his night.
One of our more consistent drivers last season making the playoffs, Scott Kalal, going to have an uphill climb in these next couple of weeks to get back up there in the standings. But hey, this is what we said. Anything can happen here at Super Speedway Racing. I would rather be lucky than good, and unfortunately some people catching some bad luck there. But we are under the second caution of the night with 67 laps ticked off. An absolutely fantastic race run by these Cup drivers. We've seen 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. Brandon, are we going to see anybody pit here? I don't think so, although we see Austin Reedy coming off pit lane.
Austin Reedy did make a pit stop. Nathan Nixon made a pit stop as well in the 98, so they sacrificed some positions. Also looks like the 50 of John Honeycutt made a pit stop as well, and I think what they're thinking with that one is, you know what, maybe a little bit of tires are going to come into handy, but I think the bigger play with that is I think we're going to be seeing some green-white checkers. Let me make this pit stop early so I can stay out if people do need to start making pit stops on their own because they're running out if there's enough laps added on to the end of this race.
Yeah, before I've brought out that full-on broadcaster's jinx, this was RSR's race to lose. And now everybody is back here. Ryan Ducombe, you can hear him shutting off his engine just to save that little bit of fuel they need. This was one of the they probably pitted with, 22 laps to go, 21. They should be good, but like you mentioned, we could have 3 tries at a green-white checker, and that could tack on an extra 8 to 10 to 12 laps for these cars. So a great move by Ryan Ducombe to potentially save the fuel that he needs, and I imagine his teammates are probably doing the same thing too. But here you go. Gossett received an EOL penalty for cause caution here. So he's going to be getting a black flag from our admins. One of the new rules we have here this year is we have 2 admins in race control looking at these replays, and it was deemed he was responsible for that caution, and therefore he's going to have to receive a black flag. So there you have it. We have a shakeup in the field, and all these guys are back within striking distance. So we're going to see exactly what unfolds, Brandon. Oh, man.
Well, you know, I've been calling most of the way that I think we're going to see single file. I think it's time that we now see side-by-side racing the rest of the way. I don't see this thing getting sorted out at all, and we're going to start seeing 3-wide. We might even see 4-wide racing going down the back straightaway. I think this thing is about to get absolutely wild for these last 11 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a great finish, hopefully. You know, we've had a little bit of rough finishes in the first 2 races, but that is Super Speedway Racing. Hopefully tonight we're going to see an awesome finish side-by-side coming to the finish line and, you know, see who exactly comes away with it. Could it be an independent driver getting his first ever Cup Series win in Ryan Ducombe, or a a finalist last year in the final 5 of the 42 of James Holzer. You know, we got Craig Lautenslager back here, Austin Reedy looking for his first win, some newcomers, Raul Meza, Kyle Benson looking to get a win here. We're going to have to hash this thing out with 12 laps coming to 11 to go. We're going to see that pace car peel off and see exactly how good a jump. He gets a big jump. Ryan Ducombe going to come down in front of his teammates. This was all orchestrated, so these top 3 cars of RSR are going to have the way here on the inside line. See exactly how much help and who's going to be that first car to poke out on the outside.
Wow, I do not believe how quickly everything got sorted single file, not just for the teammates, but all the way back to about 15th position. We're seeing single file racing. I did not see that one coming with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, they're going to be getting a good run down here in the backstretch. But I imagine it is not going to take long for someone to poke that nose out and make a second lane, and that's all it takes is for someone behind them to go with them, be like, all right, let's go to the front. But right now, Ryan Ducombe leading the pack out of turn 4. He's going to come back to the start-finish line with 10 laps to go. He is leading the way here at Sparkle and Shine 200, and only 10 to go to get that trophy.
Second ago, we saw the blue and white number 88 of Nick Gowen on the outside. He was trying to get a pack started, and doesn't look like he got a lot of help. We see the 48 of Kyle Johnson got in front of him. John Honeycutt in the 50 moved in behind him, but they're not getting a lot of support. There's a lot of drivers thinking still just a little bit too early to be making this run, and this is kind of playing out what we saw, like we saw in the Daytona 500 this year, where a lot of cars just kind of sat there single file almost until the very end of the race, really that last lap before they even tried to make a move. And we're starting to see 2 cars start to break away with Ducombe and Holzer pulling away from the rest of the field. That might be trouble for this lead 2 if they get too far ahead.
Yeah, that second line really starting to form up. We're seeing more and more cars get out there. And, you know, that's what they need to do is get in front of that 88 machine of Nick Owen. If you get 2 RSR cars leading the way, they are going to come away with the W tonight. So they're going to need a non-RSR car leading that second pack. And Kyle Johnson is doing that, in fact, right now. Really surprised to not see anybody else pull out in front of him just yet. I think everyone's waiting to get to 5 to go to really wait and pull this thing out. But yeah, big gap between the 24-42 and the 6. Not sure exactly why that is. But right now, Ryan Ducombe coming back to the stripe with 8 laps to go.
Nearly saw another caution coming out in the back of the pack as I was looking through the field. The 15 car of Brian Mabry started to jump up to the outside line, kind of hesitated a second and made a little bit of contact, I believe, with the 88 of Nick Gowen. They're still going, but that was a very sketchy moment there as they were coming out of turn number 4. Thankfully, everybody's still going, but we're still in this straight line, and at this point, it is like everybody's just playing a game of chicken, just waiting to see who's going to be the one to really make that move up there the front. And Kyle Benson looks like he's going to be the one that's going to say, you know what, I'll lead this outside line. But it comes at a time where most of the drivers on the outside line decided to cut into the inside.
Huge head of steam, as it seems like these guys are just kind of running a little bit of like maybe 75% throttle. He was just driving by guys on his own there, able to fall back in line. And he's running 5th now, so he was able to pick up some spots. So I'm not exactly sure how this lead pack is just pulling away as they are.
I'm shocked by what we're seeing, where it's now an 0.8 of a second gap from Holzer back to Ray, and it's growing. You should not be seeing a 2-car lead pull away from a group that's lined up like that group is, at least for the first 6 spots.
They need to really see what's happening here and get by that 6 car who seems to be holding the field up, as this is just uncanny. You don't usually see this happen. Tandem drafting is a thing of the past. We're going to see Craig Lautenslager get by Jovi Ray here, and they are going to start bearing down on this pack. You just see them fly by Jovi. And yeah, they've had enough. They said, all right, we see what's going on here. Let's move on and catch these guys. Now the big problem for Ryan Ducombe and James Holzer is, yes, they have a big lead, but these guys are going to be coming with huge momentum, especially once they catch that draft. They are going to fly by them on the outside. So They're going to need a little more help to get there, but right now a 3-car pack to a 2-car pack is going to be able to do that. As you see that time just tick off down to 1 second now after it was 1.3. We got people wrecking back here.
Oh, big trouble. We see Raul Meza getting up on top of another car. We see the 17 of Schaefer go around as well. That's going to end a fantastic night for him in terms of winning contention. I believe we saw Scott Healy go through the grass, possibly making a little bit of contact himself. And our third caution of the night is going to involve a couple of the big names early on in this one.
Yeah, we're going to have a chance to check the Beer Street Journal rec replay here. Another one of those drivers getting caught up in this was Gabriel Ellison as well, one of our cleanest drivers last season. Let's see exactly what happened here. They were too wide, kind of all fanned out here on the backstretch.
Oh, it's the 55 that just got into the 37, similar to what we saw on the last caution there with Gossett and Brummett. That happening in the turn. And we also saw Timothy Latham get significant damage to the front end of his car. So another one of the title contenders, the favorites coming into this season, getting some significant damage here is that 5 car. Wow, losing the front end of it entirely. The 37, 17 all involved. We saw Gabriel Ellison in the background on the live shot. Not sure where he got collected. It was possibly in the slow up as everybody was checking up from this one. But shockingly, we're only seeing about 4 cars involved in this wreck, and a point where you might have seen about a dozen easily.
See him avoid it right here, but then makes the decision to go down low into the grass, and I believe that is where he gets clipped. Oh, he gets turned around right there. I don't think that's going to be too bad for him unless he gets a little more damage here as these guys go by. He should be okay if he makes it into the pit lane, able to fix those repairs. We're going to try and get on board here Timothy Latham to see his view of all this, and it's just going to happen right in front of him, nowhere to go. And with only 5 or so laps left, that is a terrible feeling for one of our toughest contenders last season, Brandon.
Yeah, and I think the problem there for both Latham and for Ellison are going to be the front impact that they had. And on Latham's, you can see the RPM gauge kind of bouncing around a little bit. Tells me that there's some engine damage in there. So his night possibly done completely if he's unable to get that fixed, which it's hard to get those engines repaired in iRacing. And we do see our second caused caution penalty given tonight, and it's going to go to Jordan Sailors in that 55 car. As we saw it similarly with Gossett and Brummett, so we see a similar penalty being handed out on that one. So very consistent on those calls with catching somebody in that bump draft in the wrong angle.
Yeah, well, we are going to have a little bit of a shakeup in the field now, as it's not going to be 3 RSR cars leading the way, so it's going to be fair game for Craig Lautenslager and a newcomer, Kyle Benson, Austin Reedy, all able to get by and hopefully make a line maybe and get by these team cars. It's going to be tough. We've seen them out front really pushing well. So let's see exactly what happens after I imagine we're going to see these lights go off here on the pace car coming by the stripe this time.
Yeah, and we are going to be seeing that green-white checker, and not sure if it's going to be a natural one. I kind of lost track of where we were, actually, with how close we were coming, and that caution came out. And lights stay on, so we're still going to be... Oh, no, now they went out. They went out now. It took a second there. Slow reaction by the driver. So this is going to be a natural green-white checker. It will not count towards the 3 attempts. So keep that in mind if we see another yellow flag coming out.
Well, man, we have a bunch of contenders up here. It's still anybody's race, Brandon. Do you think we go green this whole way, or do you think we get another big one?
Man, you know, we had that one attempt on Thursday night, and we got through that first lap, but the second we got into turn 1 is when all you-know-what broke loose, and I feel like we might be seeing similar here. I think we get through that first lap. I think we take the white flag, and then I think we're going to see that grenade thrown into the mix, and whoever comes out with the end is going to get the win, and it might be somebody that we haven't even mentioned all night.
Yeah, I really think we might keep up the theme of getting 3 new winners to the series here, as that's just the kind of racing that super speedway racing breeds. But like I said, it's going to be hard, as I imagine Ducomp is going to be working with Holzer to get out in front of them. We'll have 2 RSR cars pushing the pack, so we'll see exactly what happens this time. We're going to have to work hard to get by them, but still able to do so as all these cars are bunched back up together.
And I'm thinking there's a little bit of strategy here by taking the outside for Ducom in the 24. I think he gets the jump, and I think Holzer is going to let him in to the inside there and get them lined up to have the best shot at holding off the rest of the field. But he's got to be careful because Benson can get the run too and possibly get by as well.
Yeah, well, you see it there. Pace cars peel it off, and we are back under green. 2 laps to go in the Sparkle and Shine 200. As we thought, Ryan Ducom going to be able to get down behind his teammate there, James Holzer. Kyle Benson able to get behind James Holzer as well. They need to get up in front of that 6 machine. Otherwise, it's going to be RSR cars leading the train here.
Yeah, we're seeing that 3-car breakaway just in front, or the 3-car line just in front of 2x2, and now we got trouble mid-pack. We got one around going down to the infield. Somehow they're still keeping this straight. Now we got a big one.
Big wreck, big wreck.
Ticking time bomb has gone off on the back straightaway, and we see the 57 of Emerson Ardon going high speed through the grass, trying to keep an eye on everything that we saw there. I believe we saw Kyle Spees caught up in that one, but we're looking at a good 8 to 10 cars caught up in this one on the backstretch.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a look at another Beer Street Journal wreck replay. As we thought we might see when we got that caution with about 12 laps to go, these cautions are breeding other cautions as it is time to win this race. Kyle Johnson getting turned by the 61. It says 71 on the car, but it's the 61 of Matt Johnson, and that just unleashes all kinds of chaos on the track.
Save of the night going to the 8-car, Michael Politis. How he kept that thing straight going through the grass is absolutely impressive, and he's going to keep that car clean despite mowing the grass a little bit at the infield. And there we see the 48 and 88 getting together. That kind of sparks it, where you see the 50 and 36 go down to the apron thinking something's about to happen. The 48 comes back up onto the track. 71 happens to be there, and that is what basically set everything off down the backstretch.
But he wants to let up because it's the end of the race. We're coming to the white flag, and that just bunches everything up right there. Really nowhere for anybody to go, as Matt Johnson didn't want to lose his momentum, but he had a 48 car right in front of him and caused a lot of damage to a lot of cars out there. Not sure exactly how many clean cars we have left out there on track, but it can't be more than 20 as we are back under yellow. We're going to have our first attempt at a green-white checker here. Ryan Ducom still our leader out there.
Yeah, Ducom still leading, and you know, that strategy that they had there was pretty perfect, and what they wanted with Ducom and Holzer getting able to get a single file and out in front. Kyle Benson taking the inside was a little bit of a surprise, not trying to stay on the outside and possibly getting that run, but we'll see how it plays out on the second time. And I got to tell you, we saw 4 wide there that kind of started that wreck, or at least set off the wreck as it was already somewhat starting down the back straightaway. This is only a 40-foot wide track, so it's easy to have trouble when we see 4 wide. I think we might see a little bit more of racing of that nature on this first official green-white checker.
Yeah, that's definitely not a track built for 4 wide racing. Even though people feel like they can make it 4 wide, it is just so narrow when you're going even 3 wide down these straightaways and turns. So, you know, it's not the easiest thing to make these cars stick, but we've seen it done before. And it's just a matter of, hey, it's the end of the race. You're racing in your mirror, and you're also racing out your windshield too to try to find that line that you want to go with, and it just ultimately ends you up going into the wrong lane and giving your car damage, ending your nights, which was what we saw there from the 48 machine. But yeah, we still have a race to get to here. 4th caution of the night. And our lineup right now, Ducom first, James Holzer second, Kyle Benson third, Jovi Ray in 4th, and Craig Lautenslager. That's our top 5.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if we keep going through these green-white checkers, the man you might want to keep an eye on is in that 98 car. We were talking about the fuel mileage. Actually, you know what? I take that back, because we did have the caution last time. Completely forgot about that happening. I'll move on from that. But still keep an eye on him as he's been good all week at these at Daytona.
He's been so excited to get out there this Sunday, running with these Cup guys. You know, he's usually an Xfinity driver. He moved up from the Truck Series this season, and, you know, he's really showing his potential as he has had a strong car, if not one of the strongest cars all night, sitting in a very good position to potentially steal a win tonight as he is running in 6th. He's going to have some good helpers behind him. We've seen that one car of Austin Reedy, who's had a really good run tonight as well. And good to see Dean Brummett work his way back up to 8th after he was involved in a wreck not too long ago. So really surprising to see that 25 machine up there.
How in the world did that happen, Dean Brummett? That was a pretty good lick that he took on that third caution of the night. And yet there he is sitting in 8th despite some of that nose damage you can see and side damage that he has on the driver's side. But I tell you what, if he can stay tucked in behind somebody, the aero might not be that affected on that car because the air's just going to be going right over that damage. So he probably won't be somebody that we'll see leading the way unless everything just breaks loose in front of him and he takes advantage. But you know what? If he can stay behind somebody, he's still effective and still in the running there.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be hard. You see his rear panel already torn off, which is not going to affect his speed at all. But, you know, that car looks pretty decent. Not sure if he's going to be able to punch a hole with it and, like you said, lead the race, but still going to come away with a great finish. And like we've seen all season or all week this week, anything can happen. And we see the pace car peel off for our first attempt at a green-white checker. Like we saw last time, I imagine we're going to see Ryan Ducombe be able to get down in front of his teammate there, the 42. And that's going to be our first and second place cars as Kyle Benson is going to be able to get behind James Holzer. And there we go. We got a race on hand. Nathan Nixon going to be falling in behind that 6 car.
Shocking how everything has gone single file for the most part. As we saw 3 cars on the outside, they're trying to get it to the white flag. It seems now they're starting to fan out down the back straightaway as Ducombe continuing to lead the way. And you see the 6, Jovi Ray getting a little bit sideways there with a shove into turn 3, keeping it straight. Now we're going to see just behind this Nathan Nixon going to the outside, going to get blocked on that outside run by the 6, and now he's going to get turned, and we got big trouble out of turn 4. They have not taken the white flag, and the caution has come out.
Just before they cross the line, which would have ended the race, we're going to have a caution come out, and there you see it, the damaged car of Jovi Ray. His night is going to be over as he was really side drafting off that inside line. I'm not sure exactly what happened. We're going to take another look at the Beer Street Journal rec replay, but I believe that the car pushing him behind him might have just hooked him a little bit. Nathan Nixon coming off of turns 3 and 4 right here, coming to the line.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where the 98 was trying to go, the 6 was just trying to stay in front of him, which, you know, you look at that and, yeah, that's helping out some team cars there, which isn't unreasonable, but I think that was a lot of just trying to block and trying to get that side draft as well on Austin Reedy. Yeah, I mean, you're in the 98, you're trying to get around, you're trying to push, trying to go, and, yeah, they just locked up bumpers at the wrong point, and yeah, we're seeing about half the field left in the run and knocked out on this one.
So Dean Brummett, who was still in the race, I believe he caught a fair amount of damage there. Just, oh, wow, he was able to get through that and turn. Oh, yeah, big damage after he collides with the 8. Almost got through it, but, man, that collected a good 10 to 15 cars, strong cars out there. We are running out of cars to finish this race as we are now on our second attempt for a green-white checker. Not sure if Austin Reedy in that inside line was able to get by this as well. Yeah, he was past it already. And then just Brummett he thought he was through it, man, and then just didn't even see the car that hit him, and that's just what happens. Just cars are scattered everywhere.
I think we're only down to about the top 7 that were not caught up in that wreck, as I think Scott Healy did get a piece of it. I saw Kyle Spees, who's running 9th, was in somewhere in that. So we're looking at maybe the top 9 at best are all through that accident. The rest of the field caught up in it. So this is absolutely massive. And, you know, I was kind of talking about having something where the race just gets that landmine or just a grenade thrown into it, and that was an absolute landmine there. and we're really down to probably 7 cars in true contention if we get a clean finish to the end. But we do still have 2 more shots at it before we have a yellow finish. So hopefully the second attempt of the green-white checker, we'll see a clean finish.
Fortunate for that first natural green-white checker, as we still have 2 attempts, like you mentioned. But yeah, we are really starting to fall off of the cars here that we have able to really contend for a win here. But one of them that has been really strong and still really clean, that 10 machine, is going to be right in behind these 2 RSR cars. But like you mentioned earlier, those cars that pitted with maybe 26 to go, I know we had a pack that pitted at lap 54, and they're going to be really concerned about their fuel mileage at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, Austin Reedy, I think, did come in on that one caution where we saw a little bit of a different strategy, so he might be all right, but I still saw him riding around on the apron, so not sure what his fuel strategy is looking like. Obviously, we won't know what anybody's fuel situation is really looking like, and at this point in the race, not really a good time to ask anybody that. So we'll see if fuel becomes a factor here in this race, but I mean, at this point, it might just be who's left running at the end of this race.
Yeah, well, we're going to see the exact same strategy this time as we've seen the last 2 times. Ryan Ducombe going to take that outside lane to drop down in front of his teammate there, James Holzer. Then behind them, they're going to have Kyle Benson and Craig Lautenslager there in the 10 machine and the 13. And just behind them, row 3, we're going to have Austin Reedy and Seth Berger. And then the birthday boy, Joshua Balliet. That would be awesome for him to pull it out on his birthday, and as well for his teammate, Max Service, that we mentioned is in the hospital recovering from appendicitis, just had his appendix taken out today. Would be an awesome way to pay tribute to him. So we're going to really see what happens here. Hopefully, like you said, we get a clean finish, something we haven't had the first 2 races of the season in SRN. But, man, if these guys can really get it together here, we could really see something special here tonight.
Yeah, still down to 24 drivers left on the lead lap. I would say we're really down to about 13 that might have enough power to possibly be a factor in this thing, but who knows with what we've seen the first 2 races in the Trucks and Xfinity and the first green-white checker attempt. We go again.
Yep, there it is. Pace car is going to drop down. Ducombe's going to have the field. We're going to see him after the start-finish line drop down in front of his teammate, as that is a rule here in SRN. There you see it. And we're going to have a strong line possibly forming up right here with Craig Lautenslager leading the way, and Seth Berger in the 77 machine. He has a lot of fans out here in the chat. They are going to be cheering him on big time. Right now, we got a 6-car breakaway, caution, as there's not many cars, and we have a caution out, our 6th caution of the night.
Looking back at this, it looks like it happened back in turn 1, and there's Gabriel Ellison, who this is the 2nd incident, possibly 3rd incident we've seen him in tonight, which might equal what he had all season last year. He's getting them all out of the way here in week 1. Rough night for the Green Driver Award winner from last year, as we have at least one more look at Beer Street Journal Rec Replay to find out what happened here. And it looks like it's just the pace difference with so many damaged cars. You see Joe Ruggles really struggling to get under power, and he goes sideways. Dean Brummett gets caught up in it. Gabriel Ellison gets caught up in it. I mean, you're looking at cars that have various levels of damage at this point, whether it be engine damage, body damage, aero. There's so many weird paces right now. It's going to be hard to avoid this if you're in the back.
Since being 3 wide is not going to help the cause either. Like we mentioned earlier, it's just a very narrow super speedway, not much room for making a wrong move, and that's what we saw there, unfortunately. And yeah, you just see how banged up that 27 machine really is. And we are down to our final attempt at a green-white checker. I'm sure Ryan Ducombe is loving what he is seeing, as that was not long at all that he had to spend under the green flag conditions there. And he's 1 caution away from winning this thing.
Oh man, where are we in fuel? Where are we in anything right now? We might just be seeing a green flag and then a straightaway yellow that just ends this race. Who knows what's going to happen here? But what we do know is the two cars that are definitely the cleanest, the two cars that have definitely been the fastest since about halfway through this race are the 24 Ryan Ducombe and the 42 of James Holzer. And they are in the best position of all with one more shot at this thing remaining.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a team forming here. Third through fifth is going to be Murray Reedy Motorsports here, with the two team cars up front being RSR cars. One of Ryan Ducombe, he's an Xfinity driver for RSR, and then Holzer is a Cup driver for RSR. So we have a little bit of a teammate, tandems folding up here, and we're going to see exactly how that unfolds if they can keep it green for the next 2 laps for this green-white checker. But right now, you see a few cars going down pit road, and a few are off the pace. We got cars everywhere.
And I'm looking at this lineup. Yeah, we have RSR, or at least virtual teammates across different series, first and second. You also have a third with Scott Healy, the defending champion, in sixth. He's been a little under power, but just avoiding all of these accidents, and he's sitting pretty. The defending champ having a pretty solid day despite being caught up in some stuff earlier. But then you have those 3 Murray Reedy cars sitting third through fifth that might be blocking Healy from getting able to help out his 2 teammates. It's going to be really interesting what happens. And one thing I want to point out, too, is if we get to the white flag, odds are if there's trouble on that last lap, we're still going to be staying green because the trouble's going to be behind the race for the win. So at that point, who knows what'll happen. If it comes out before the white flag, then it's going to be whoever's leading is going to win the race.
I imagine we will see the pace car lights go off this time by. We will rack them up for one more attempt at a green-white checker. Right now, sitting pretty is that 24 machine of Ryan Ducombe, looking for his first ever Cup Series win. Has a win down in the Xfinity Series, but has never won up here in the Cup Series here on Sundays, and he's going to have to hold off his teammate there, who is actually racing for points in the 42 machine of James Holzer. But like we said, we have teams forming up here. Murray Reedy is going to be trying to link up and get together and go by these guys. And you mentioned it, Scott Healy. We saw him a lap down not too long ago. Now he's up here in 6th. And you know what? That is just the mark of a series champion. And he is exactly that, the defending Series Cup champion from last season. So we're coming off turn 2, getting this field formed up for our last attempt, and let's hope it's a good one. Like you said, the last two races in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series race, we had a last lap wreck, of which did not bring out a caution. So all they got to do is get to that last lap, see the white flag come out, and then anything can happen. And I imagine something will happen. Oh, we'll have the lights come back on. So we're going to have one more after this lap.
I think there's been some discussion about the order of the lineup and where a couple of people are sitting on track. So we're going to extend this one more lap before we go green for the final green-white checker attempt. And if we can go on board on the 24 car, would like to see if there's any fuel situation going here, possibly shutting off the engine. And yeah, you see it, 300 RPM. That engine is off. There is a significant fuel concern for the race leader, Ryan Ducombe.
Yeah, definitely would not be doing that, especially as frequently as he is. He is not giving it much gas at all, instantly shutting it off. You'll see those RPM bars go all the way down. That car is turned off at the moment. He is trying to save every bit of fuel as he can, and definitely did not want to see those pace car lights come back on. This will be the last time around before they go back to green, as they are trying to sort out the field. But yeah, exactly what you said, Brandon. He has a little bit of concern right now, as he has been punching the hole in the air, as he like to say. He's been that lead car this entire time. He's been using more fuel than anybody out there.
Yeah, and that is a rough spot to be in. Yes, there is these caution laps, which you're going to get about 2-to-1 fuel ratio compared to a green flag lap, maybe a little bit more than that. But man, and one thing he might not like seeing here is how loose this pack is right now as they're getting formed up. If they can't get it formed up, there might be another lap added. which that might be a kill shot to the 24 if he's already having issues with fuel.
It's just crazy. The stories that super speedway racing can bring to light right now. We're seeing some fuel strategy take place here towards the end of these laps. Like we mentioned, this is adding on an extra 12 to potentially 14 laps onto this race of what was originally scheduled for 80 laps. This is now turned into a 94 lap race. So here we go. We're coming off of turns 3 and 4. We do not see the lights come back on the pace car just yet. So that means we will be going green this time. Still a little bit of a loose field right now, but yeah, the lights are not coming on this car. So we are going green for the last attempt at a green-white checker here at the Sparkle and Shine 200. We're going to see a lot of the same like we've seen the past 3 or 4 restarts. Ryan Ducombe starting on the high line is going to drop down in front of his teammate and hopefully get a big push from that 42. And we're going to see Murray Reedy Auto Motorsports try to link up as quickly as possible and see if these guys can keep it clean. They're 3 wide already back here.
Man, and as far back as they are in the race under power, I would not want to see that happen. I want to see this race up front play out, hopefully to the checkered flag without incident, as they continue to get sorted out single file. It's going to be difficult for anybody to make the pass here because of how spread out they've gotten. I think there's so many damaged vehicles that it is almost impossible for anybody but this front 3, maybe 4, to have a shot at it.
Really surprised to see that 13 not able to get up to the pack here. He's going to really need to get up there to help his teammate out. But right now we are coming across the line. 1 lap to go here at Sparkle and Shine 200. Ryan Ducombe, our leader, followed by Holzer and Kyle Benson there in the 10 machine.
And I think we're going to be staying exactly like this unless James Holzer gets a little racy feeling and tries to make the move, but he's going to have to do it single file. He'll need a side draft against his own team cars. We got trouble in the back. We're going to stay under green, but here we go. Ducombe and Holzer out in front. Ducombe, an Xfinity Series driver. Holzer, the Cup Series driver, one of the title favorites. Who's going to win at Daytona?
Yeah, we come off of turn 4. We'll see if there is any team orders, and I don't think so. I think it's going to be Ryan Ducombe coming to get his first ever Cup Series win, and that's exactly what we'll see, followed by James Holzer. And Reese Schaefer is going to be going ahead and taking our 3rd place position.
Whoa.
Not sure what happened to Kyle Benson but he is not anywhere in the top 10. Must have ran out of fuel or something.
Reese Schaefer, I'm pretty sure, was in the last 3 cautions, and he's going to come out in 3rd. Seth Berger in 4th. Brian Mabry, who didn't have a team until 30 minutes before the race, is going to round out the top 5. Holy Daytona, it strikes again with a random top 5.
Then our last season's champion, Scott Healy, is going to be 6th. Birthday boy Joshua Balliet going to be 7th place. Jake Rowell coming out of nowhere to get an 8th place finish after he had a very rough night. You see Kyle Benson right there. He did, in fact, run out of fuel. That's why he was falling off the pace so much. Raul Meza is going to be 9th, and I'm not sure exactly.
Andrew Lewis.
Andrew Lewis. Has so many Lewises in the league. He's going to be our 10th place finisher tonight.
Yeah, looking back a little bit farther, Timothy Latham, who only had about 70% of a car, which is also about what most of the field had at the end of this thing, in 11th. Nick Gowen making his debut as a full-time Cup Series driver in 12th. Jordan Sailors in 13th. Kyle Johnson, 14th. Kyle Spees in 15th.
Yeah, then our 16th finisher is going to be, if it comes back around, I'll be able to see it. Just give it 1 second. There we go. John Honeycutt. Then 17th is going to be Dean Brummett. 18th going to be Mike Politis. And 19th going to be Gabriel Ellison. And just before 20th went on, I apologize. I'm not sure who that is.
Emerson Arden.
Okay, Emerson Ardon is going to be 20th place. I apologize. Like I said, I am house sitting in a different location, so I do not have all my screens. So you got to bear with me. But nonetheless, we got the race in tonight. You see RSR out there celebrating together. So let's go ahead. Yeah, Ryan Ducombe is unable to celebrate as he is out of fuel, but they're going to go ahead and help him out a little bit here.
An assisted burnout underway in the infield grass at Daytona, as the 24 has no fuel left, getting a push to the start-finish line. Wow. Another wild race here at Daytona tonight.
Great race. We're going to go ahead and get the interviews on air here. Let's go ahead and bring up our third place finisher, Tank Racing's Reese Schaefer, bringing it home third. Reese, congratulations. Greg and Brandon up here in the booth. Tell us about that wild race we saw out there today.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing out there. I got on the pole and had my teammate behind me, and we're able to lead first half of the race, and then problem is when you lead the race, you start losing fuel faster than everyone else. So we had some fuel troubles, and we're trying to save as much as we could, me and Seth, and we eventually were able to get back with the whole group, and I got caught up in a couple wrecks, and I had a minute of damage, and was able to get back with Seth at the very end there, and we got 3 and 4, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious about the resiliency factor that you had to show tonight. I'm pretty sure I saw you there in 2, if not 3, of those last 3 or 4 cautions. How was it just staying in there and kind of trying to get the most out of the night and winding up with a third-place finish out of that?
Yeah, it's this track is so unpredictable, right? I thought we were done for when I got in that first big one, coming in 3 and 4, and then we started P20, and then I got another one, like you said, on the backstretch, and luckily, car wasn't down on horsepower or anything, and we were able to get through it. And our healthcare Billy Incorporated for tonight was great. And I'd like to thank all my sponsors: Liftworks Incorporated, Chicago Heights, Star Tool and Die, and Race Energy, 100 Don, and ESG Associates, Teespring, all the guys that help us, and Tank Racing, and it's been such an honor. And P3 will take it,
All right, Reese, well, you get the sponsors out of the way before I can even ask, so you are on it, my man, and we are thrilled to see you up here, top 3 and newcomer to the SRN series. And what do you expect for the rest of the season? Should we expect a lot of the same? You're going to be running up to the front and carrying a lot of momentum here for the following weeks.
Every track around here is different. Like today, you just got to try to stay out of the wrecks and just hopefully just stay consistent and just be around the front, because when you're around the front, good things tend to happen. So hopefully we can keep doing that, and going on to Kansas next week should be a fun race.
We will see that number 17 machine out in Kansas. You have yourself a good night. Go celebrate with your team.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was our third place finisher of Reese Schaefer. Let's go ahead and bring up our runner-up tonight. That was the 42 machine of James Holzer for RSR. He was running up front with his teammate all night, Ryan Ducom. James, tell us about your race tonight, bud.
These super speedway races always have me sketched out. You just never know which way they can go. Me and the rest of the team, we were talking at the beginning to figure out what we wanted to do for qualifying, and didn't really work on qualifying that much, but I decided to make a lap, and it was an okay lap. I think we started like P7 or so, somewhere in that ballpark, and we were going to drop back to the back. The team's like, nah, let's just see what it does up here, because I think the track position can be important, because remember, you had last year with Talladega, last season, you had the front, and it is what got you the race, because it was just so hard to pass. The high line did work better at times, because I felt like the leaders were also trying to save in that first run, so we were like all really slowed down. But we decided to actually make the last pit stop that we made under green. We decided to top off on fuel and take those 4 tires, and that top off is what got us the race. Just having enough fuel, but excellent teamwork by Ducom. It was awesome working with him all race, calling the restarts, and making sure we time it and execute it. That way we can get together and keep it going. Unfortunate that Reedy there ran out of fuel on that delay caution, but yeah, we just had the right strategy to stay out front, pitted at the right time, and saved just enough fuel. We ran out doing burnouts. We were about a lap and a half or so to the good, so we kind of wanted it to end early, but kind of glad that it didn't, because it was going to be really hard for 2 teammates to pass another 2 teammates on the outside. And even if I wanted to pass Ducom at the end, there's no way I could. Just with this package, if you pull out or anything, there's just no way you can generate a run, when you're a couple tenths back, unless if that guy taps a brake. So I'm totally fine with getting P2, though. It's RSR, always awesome just pushing an RSR teammate to a win.
All right, buddy. Well, yeah, new to the RSR team, but not new to the booth. We're used to seeing you up here in the top 3, so go ahead and tell us who you got to thank tonight and any sponsors out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really good start with the RSR campaign here. As we finished, we won the preseason race in pretty good fashion, and then ran up front all night tonight. But just obviously want to thank you guys in the booth for always doing a fantastic job. I got to thank Laurel Auto Group and JSR Designs for putting the paint on me tonight and sponsor me for the whole season. Go check them out on Facebook, JP Designs. There's 2 JP Designs, so it's the one with the orange and black logo. They have paint schemes starting at just $5 and some packages as well, multiple package cars. And he does a really, really good job. Great with communicating with you and get you something back in a reasonable time. I just gave him my final sponsors and everything Saturday night, and he had it ready Sunday morning at 1 in the morning. So, yeah, great guy to work with.
All right. We expect to be seeing you up here in the booth again. Great work out there tonight, starting off the season strong. Go ahead and go back down there and celebrate with your RSR teammates, man. Have a good night.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, that was our runner-up of James Holzer in the 42 machine for RSR Racing. Let's go ahead and bring up our winner tonight. I'm pretty excited about this one, man. I always love racing with Ryan Ducom out there on Thursdays. We have a really good time out there on the Super Speedway, so I'm thrilled to see him get the win this time at Daytona. Ryan, how you feeling, buddy?
Oh, I'm feeling great. What a race. I just had to, I know you did it last year in the Cup Series. I had to come up and do it this year.
Well, go ahead and tell us, man, what the strategy was all night that ended up getting you up front ultimately and really able to control the race, man. That's really what ended up getting you the W tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same strategy as Thursday. Start in the back, ride for a bit, and then make the push late. Unfortunately, Thursday got involved in a wreck, but it just worked out tonight. And I really got to thank Holzer. He stuck with me there at the end, and it really worked out.
Yeah, I'm really curious, how the nerves were once you were getting to that last green-white checker. We know that you ran out of fuel thereafter, but how was that when you saw that yellow flag come out one more time? Were you worried about anything? Were you thinking that you were going to make it?
When they delayed the caution, I was really worried. Holzer kept saying I was in the good, I'm good, I'm good. I just kept saving, and I made it.
Yeah, you certainly did make it, man, and you made a good show of it, too. That 24 car looked really good out there, and like I said, man, I'm super thrilled for you. You helped me out big time last season at Daytona, and you definitely got what it takes, so happy you were able to pull it off tonight, keep that car clean, and now you are celebrating in victory lane for your first win of the season here in SRN. So I know you've got some people you want to thank, any sponsors, any fans, any friends out there you'd like to go ahead and give a shout-out to.
Yeah, I want to thank Off Apex Designs, GameStop, everyone over at Royal Smith Racing, our team owner Jake. He came from 24th to 8th place in the last 2 laps. Amazing job by him. He was damaged and just came through. And then everyone else over at RSR, especially James Holzer, and then Joby there for a while. He was really helping out. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, buddy. Well, expect to see you carrying this momentum back down into the Xfinity Series race as we head to Kansas there next Thursday. But congratulations on the win tonight. Get you another win sticker on your car. Go ahead and get back down there. Celebrate with your team, man. Have a good night. All right, buddy.
All right, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for doing what you do. You guys do a great job up there.
We appreciate that, man. Take care. All right. Well, that was your winner, Ryan Ducom, tonight, running as an independent with RSR. Woo! Brandon, can you believe that was only week 1?
Oh man, week 1, Daytona, it's exciting racing, but at the same time, I swear it feels like it's a whole year that goes by when you have those 3 races. It is very nervous, it is very uncomfortable for those races, and you're just waiting for chaos to break, and we saw it late in all 3 of our races. Hopefully when we go down the yellow brick road, we won't see similar happen there, because we got Kansas coming up next week.
Yeah, super fun track that offers a lot of grooves to race in, so I imagine we will see a lot of aggressive racing next week at Kansas Motor Speedway for the Jayhawk 195. That race will be Sunday, July 25th at 8 p.m. Central. We have NASCAR taking off a couple weeks for the Olympics, but we are not. We are back here, me and Brandon again, for Wednesday's race at the Truck Series, week number 2, the Jayhawk 125. That place is also taking place at Kansas Speedway. You can catch that at 9 p.m. Central Time. Brandon, are you excited to get out there to Kansas?
I am so excited to get away from super speedway racing and get down to that 1.5 miles. The drivers have a little bit more control of what's going to be happening than this chaos style of racing when it comes to the plate tracks. This Kansas Speedway, it's one of those quote unquote cookie cutter tracks, but you have a lot of options there, especially down that front stretch with how wide everybody likes to run it down on the apron. I'm excited. You normally see some great racing at Kansas, and I would expect no less from our truck series coming up on Wednesday for that good old Rock Chalk Jayhawk 125.
And we're going to have a lot of wall scraping as it's a high line track, and we're going to see just how these guys handle that. But that is going to wrap it up for, like you said, our Super Speedway series this week at Daytona. And that is going to wrap it up for our broadcast tonight. And for Brandon Domain, I'm Greg Olenek, and we appreciate you always tuning in to watch our races here at Speed Racing Network. But as always, remember to go faster.